back.
I had to claim the show handle, Lonzo. I don't have
By the way,
money.
It's a very good move of you to do what you did, and I'm just kidding. I mean, I will go over to Threads when I'm required to do it by my employer.
I had to grab the show handle because I'm poor and I couldn't create a spot where we get told you got to join Threads, and I go over there and I go to claim the Rob Brown Show, and somebody in our listening audience, not that any of our listeners would ever be like this, claimed the handle. Yeah, exactly. And we wouldn't have had a handle on Threads. By the way, I hate the name.
Okay.
Like Twitter, it's just Twitter. It just rolls, right? It's just a good name, even if it's made up.
What's the Threads mascot? I mean, Twitter's got a bird.
The icon on the app on your phone is just the @ sign. It's like a stylized @ sign.
Okay.
So there's no bird or nothing.
All right, that's kind of lame.
I'm just saying I didn't want to get the email from Odyssey going, everybody is now required to join Threads, and then pop it up and it goes, oh, somebody's already using @the Rob Brown Show. So let me go ahead and claim the handle now. Make sure I got it. Make sure we're good. So if and when I sent out one thread yesterday to establish that it existed. And that's it. Honestly, I haven't even gone back over because.
Oh, see, I was curious because I wanted to know how your journey went, and
I was on it for 6 minutes.
Okay.
And I'll tell you I don't want to say it's a mistake. I'll tell you the reason. The reason is, like on Twitter, I follow people. Right? I follow listeners. I follow other hosts. I follow personalities. I follow news outlets. On Instagram, it's a whole different concept, right? It's visual. It's pictures. So I follow different accounts for different reasons. Over there, I follow people who put up comedy memes, for instance.
By the way, really quick, welcome into the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Welcome in the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Okay, enough of that. Over there, you follow visual stuff. You follow people who post memes. You follow people who give you background visuals. They give you images, whatever. And then I look and I'm like, you're not funny it's funny in a different way. On Twitter, I follow people who are funny because they write good jokes. On Instagram, I follow people who put up funny pictures or funny videos or whatever. And now I click over to Threads, and it's like you have auto-followed all of these people from Instagram. And, I don't have time for that, man. I'm not here for that. So
what were you there for?
Instagram?
No. To Threads. You're just there to claim the name and see what's going on.
Right. I popped on to claim. So here's the thing. Now on my phone, I have two apps that are the same thing, but different. Right? It's two different platforms, but they're the same thing. They're both X character message posting. And so it's like now I got to do twice the work effectively for half the results, right? So every time I want to pop off a tweet, I have to copy it, paste it, go over to Threads, fire off the exact same thing in order to get the same number of impressions because of the folks that have left Twitter to go over to Threads. And which, again, hate that name.
I am just, I don't see why you have to leave one place to go to the other. So to the people who left, did they completely delete Twitter? Did they delete their profile? Did they delete everything?
Some of them have.
And
I noticed a lot of deactivated accounts on my Twitter yesterday. Or people who made their goodbye announcement and then didn't delete the account.
Goodbye. I'm going to Canada.
So the issue that I have is that my follower count is the same, right? Because anybody who left Twitter and went over to Threads, they're not seeing Twitter anymore. And even if you're on both, you're going to see the same content both places. So I'm not getting extra eyeballs. In fact, quite the opposite. My follower count on Twitter is going to drop. My impressions are going to drop. Ultimately, the net is going to be the same. I'm going to have the same number of followers. They're just going to be split between two platforms, which means I've got to do twice the work to keep the same number of impressions. It's just, I had a moment yesterday. I was sitting, as a matter of fact, because the lady friend, the fiance, is in public relations and marketing, right? And she works for a relatively large and important entity in the community, and she runs their social media. And so we got home last night and we were talking about this because she went and she claimed the Threads account for her business and herself as well. And basically she got told the same thing that we've been told. They're monitoring it, and at the point that they feel like it's worth the time to give a directive that everybody's got to jump over and join Threads, she'll have the accounts claimed, accounted for, etc. And as I was going through last night and flipping back and forth and like, all right, now I gotta tweet over here, and then I gotta either remember what I tweeted or copy paste it and go log into a different app and then post it again and format it for that account and blah, 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 for the same number of impressions. I'm like, dude, if I didn't have a job in the public eye, I'd be done with social media. This yesterday would have ended it for me, right? I would keep Facebook only to stay in touch with family and to store photographs.
So they've reached a point where it's too much.
I think so.
Is this an old thing, or is this just a thing?
For me?
Yes.
It's not. I think it's a thing, right? Because I get the premise of having Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I have all three. Now, my Instagram is kind of boring. Like, I don't do a lot on it.
I have an Instagram for Upstate Pulse, which someone else is in charge of, and they never post anything. So, I mean, you know.
So here's the thought that I have behind that. And we're not going to do social media and analysis all day, but it is interesting to me. I'm not a big Instagram guy, Lonzo, but that's because every job I have revolves around words.
Yes,
right?
audio.
We have to paint a picture with our words. We're like the Bob Ross of words. We've got to paint a picture with our words, but they're still words. So when I'm trying to put out a thought or a message or whatever, it's words first. On top of that, while my life is awesome, and I don't disagree with that, if I do encounter something that I get to take a unique picture, a unique perspective of, right? Like if I'm in the dugout with the baseball team, or if I'm on the bench with Lordo and the Bunnies, or if I'm out on the field with the Triumph or whatever, and I get to see something that you guys don't get to see that I want to share with you, I can still post a picture on Twitter, right? So Instagram's never a thought for me. I've never trained myself to be like Instagram. And I'm not the dude that goes, ooh, this meal looks delicious. Let me Instagram this. It's not my thing. Nobody cares. Nobody cares unless you are giving people a perspective that they just cannot get. Instagram's kind of pointless, that I've never really trained myself to dial into that zone. So I'm a words guy, which is why Twitter has been great. And like I said, Facebook has basically become, okay, I don't need to call my aunt anymore. She's on Facebook. I don't have to have small talk BS conversations with my third cousin twice removed, who I like.
Yeah, I know.
I see her once a year at the reunion. I don't have to force a conversation. If I see something that makes me think of her, I pop over to Facebook, I say the thing, I send the picture, and I'm done. There's our interaction until next June when the reunion rolls around again.
When I talk to my mom, she's like, well, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. I'm like, yeah, I know. And she's like, how do you know? Because I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah, because I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
And for the record, I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. So I will keep Facebook. But I have had a number of times where I have thought to myself, and it happened yesterday, I think was the closest I've gotten, where I thought to myself, if it wasn't for my job, I'd be off social media with the exception of Facebook. And there's been a handful of times I've even gotten close to being done with Facebook because those people that I occasionally get in touch with, a lot of them say and post very dumb things that aggravate me. And unfortunately, as Lonzo can attest, and my brother has the same gene, sometimes I can't help myself but to go, you're wrong, this takes dumb, and here is why. And it leads to more confrontation than high fives and handshakes.
Come on, you love debate.
I
You
do.
may pretend like you don't, but you love
I
debate.
do. I'm not. I absolutely do. So, with all of that being said, yesterday flipping back and forth between the two, and the worst part, and this is how I also know I'm hitting get off my lawn territory. The thought I had when I popped over to Threads and it populated an auto follow list for me and I started reading people's threads. The thought I had, Lonzo, was, oh God, now I got to learn a whole new freaking thing, man. I got to learn how to use this and play the algorithm the right way and learn when the correct and incorrect posting times are. And I just got to learn a whole new thing. I don't want to friggin' do this.
Yeah, see, that's an old guy in a digital medium like myself. When something new comes along, you're like, okay, this is it. This is the thing I'm not going to be able to learn how to do, and I'm done and I'm out. So if we're required to do that now you, because we could be waiting for the email, maybe I need to jump over there just to get something, just to make sure. I don't know.
I just
will it take the place of breaking news on Twitter? Because breaking news on Twitter is still the quickest.
And by the way, how crap is the title? Threads trending topics.
Do they?
It doesn't work.
It doesn't.
Twitter trending topics. It works. It's a great name. Twitter with the 2 syllables is a great name. Threads is a bad name, which means this is going to kill a segment. Or at least change the name. We got to do a whole new production thing. We got to make new sounders. It's going to be awful. It's going to be awful. It was the first old man screams at cloud moment I've had since the last time it rained, and I said, we needed this. It's I don't know, man. I genuinely, I think I've gotten to the point where if it wasn't for my job, I'd probably be done. Now, I will say this. Kevin Durant sent out a tweet yesterday where he said, I'm on Threads working the burner account. Come find me, which is great, right? Which is great. He leaned into it. He made it funny. It was a good funny.
It was.
And I appreciate that.
You know, speaking of Twitter, James, you can watch us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We haven't, I was getting there. We haven't gotten the Threads yet. James on the stream says, if I left Facebook, I wouldn't get updates on the lizard people from Aunt Judy. Aunt Judy, as we all know, the foremost expert on the lizard people. So you got to see what Aunt Judy's posting.
Aunt Judy's got it down to a science. You know, the lizard people are real. There was, I'll give you the example.
When the underground uprising of people against lizards happens, Aunt Judy will be the general for sure.
For the record, not lizards. Love lizards.
Lizard people. Yeah.
I'm
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'll give you the example.
I apologize to all the geckos and chameleons and all the other lizards that are listening.
Here's the worst part about social media. Then we'll get away from it. I got a cousin who lives in Louisiana. I love my cousin dearly. She's great. I'm a big fan. I always have been. She's very artistic, right? She's a free spirit. I love this kid. And I've watched her grow. She's like 12 years younger than me. I've watched her grow up from a baby to like a full-grown woman, and she's a wonderful person. But I have watched her over the past 3 or 4 years start devolving into the mystic. You know? She's big on healing crystals.
Okay, so when you're saying, I was wondering if we're going Wiccan here or where we're going with the.
She's
with the
big
mystic.
on healing crystals, right? She got a new job recently, and she literally skipped her first day of work because she didn't have time to go into her new place of work and cleanse it with sage, like Kyrie. Right?
Were they okay?
Skipped
with
her
that?
day of work.
Were they okay with that?
I mean, she still works there.
Okay, so they must have been all right with it.
This cousin of mine, there was a video that went around on the internet not too long ago of a woman getting kicked off of an airplane. And she was getting off the airplane. She was hammered, and she was screaming that she had seen another passenger in the back of the plane come out of the restroom. And when the door opened to the lavatory, they were a lizard person. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the lady was screaming. She was a lizard person, and she had seen them shapeshift from a lizard person to a regular human when they came out of the bathroom. She was going on, and they kicked her off the airplane, for being a lunatic, right? For being a raving lunatic.
Or for being one of the rare people with the third eye able to see the transformation.
Yeah. No, raving lunatic. And my cousin, who I have watched grow up from a baby to a full-grown woman, goes off on, I believe her. No one would be that convicted to a hallucination to make this up. I believe her, and we need to go wholesale investigation into this. And, of course, nobody believed her. But, if they were going to shapeshift, the bathroom on the plane's the place to do it. It's the one place there's no observation from other passengers. And they didn't, the lizard person didn't expect her to be watching. So, and I'm sitting there like, this cousin who I'm a big fan of, I used to love getting to go to reunions and catch up with her. Where you been? What you been doing? How's your mama? How's everybody? How you doing? And catch up and have these deep conversations over a couple of beers at the reunion or whatever. And now I'm like, if I see her at the next one, I'm going to be like, you're crazy.
Come on.
What happened to you?
Come on.
You're a lunatic now.
Come on. You're going to have the same conversation with her that you had with the flat earth people in Greenville. You're going to go up and talk to her.
Which didn't go great, did it?
Yeah, but you're going to go talk to her just to find out how deep this is. Because what if she's just being sarcastic? What if she's
not?
What if she's just trolling?
It's this over and over and over. The other day, she put up on Facebook that the healing crystals that she purchased not only fixed her lower back, Lonzo, but it was the best $500 she ever spent. I can't look her in the eye.
Placebo effect, possibly power of positive thinking. Focus.
Which can be done without $500 in stupid ass rocks.
Well, if you want
rocks, they're pretty rocks, but they're rocks.
If you want to focus on your healing, you need a focal point. It's like some mages need something to focus their magic through.
Getting irrationally angry right now. No,
you're going to need some
rationally angry.
You keep moving your head around like that. You're going to need some crystals to fix your neck.
Crystals. Good news. I got a cousin who will sell them to me for I'll probably get a discount, like $400.
Now that she hears this.
Look, dude. Facebook was great for a while, but that's becoming the thing. It used to be I could show up to the cousin and she could be the same person and we could have a lot of great conversation, and I never know that she believes lizard people are real and shape-shifting on airplanes and spent $1,000 on shiny rocks to make her back feel better. I would never know that, and therefore I would never have to be like, oh yeah, it's so good to see you. Yeah, I missed you. While in the back of my brain I'm going, what the hell happened to you? What happened to you? You were you were freaking salutatorian of your high school class, and now you're buying $500 in rocks and believe that lizard people are shape-shifting on airplanes. What happened to you? You had the world at your fingertips, and now Facebook has revealed to me that you're a lunatic.
By the way,
what's happening?
We're just a couple months away from the Bigfoot Festival. I can't wait.
Oh, we're absolutely going. We are absolutely going. I can't wait.
Just to judge, though. No.
What percentage
of
when
we go
Bigfoot Festival actually believe in the Bigfoot? 10, 25,
we haven't been, so we don't know.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm excited to go.
No, we need to go undercover and be like, yeah, we're all in. We can't wait. Let's go find that Bigfoot.
Oh, this may be the first time in a long time that I bring a camera to mic and I do man on the street interviews. I haven't done that since I worked in TV news, just because I want to find out. The problem is there's going to be a lot of other Robin Lonzos that if somebody puts a camera in my face and goes, do you believe in Bigfoot? I'll be like, oh yeah. Interdimensional, shape-shifting, phase measuring, telekinetic beast of the woods. Yeah, 100% I believe. But I'm going.
I'm curious because I know I can do this. How long can you keep the straight face? Because I will be in there with them getting some definite in-depth explanation for sure.
In that situation, the only person in this building better to act that out than me is Chris. After that, no, it's me. I got that. I will be screwing with people, and I can't wait. Anyway,
Well, he
point
didn't. He
is-
didn't mention me because that's a given, man. Because I'll just be in that room, straight faced, all into
I think
everything.
I think we
and
just
just
go as full-fledged Bigfoot hunters.
right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Just full-fledged. I'm
Yeah.
showing up like Steve Irwin, but if he hunted Bigfoot. Can't wait. It's going to be amazing.
Also, I mean, just point out, hey man, we're kind of new to this. We've always been, believers, but I don't know what equipment I need and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, can you explain it all to me?
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
Where do I go to find that equipment? Because where does a novice get started in this?
Listen, I don't skip a day of college football for much, but October 12th and 13th, your boy's going to be missing all the football.
I thought it was in September. It's October.
Mid-October.
Is it? Okay.
Oh yeah. All right, let's take a break. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we got a lot of things lined up for today on the show. I'm going to tell you that the entire second hour of the show, I'm going to be mad at myself for this. We are going to fall into the trap. We're going to fall into the trap and do what every other sports talk radio show host is doing. We're predicting and projecting win and loss totals for your favorite football team. I know. Everybody else has done it. I don't know why the hell I decided to do it today, but that's what we're doing. So suck it up, Buttercup. Back after this to wrap up hour number. I have 40 minutes left to continue hour number 1 of the Rob Brown Show. What is going on? Lizard people aren't real. Crystals don't heal you. The Rob Brown Show continues on the Fan Upstate. Yeah.
Gables.
Do we have a bumper? All right, guys, got a live read. We'll be right back.
Long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are.
It brought us back just in time for Rob to make another entrance.
A dramatic entrance. Yeah.
He had to go take a breath away from the crystal talk. And
I did. I had to cool off.
Sponsored by Blindster.com. Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer over 50 different custom window treatments, including faux wood blinds and shutters.
Faux wood.
This is less than retail. Plus, we'll send you free samples before you buy. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is.
Coming up on a Friday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel, we'll tell you who won between Pistol Pete and Shoeless Joe Jackson in our Upstate's favorite athlete bracket. We've got Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beard. Our ACC and SEC team preview series continuing, and there are exactly 3 teams who can win the World Series. We'll unmask them.
We'll unmask them.
Offsides with Mark
it's like Masked Singer, maybe, or like Scooby Doo. I'm gonna go with Scooby Doo.
It was Freddie Freeman the whole time. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown and the great one Lonzo with you here on a lovely Upstate Friday morning. Phone lines open, 844-326-3663. Text line is open at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read them on the air. Texter said, the FBI is listening to you guys. I haven't watched wrestling in like a decade, was listening to you guys yesterday, and now my entire TikTok feed is nothing but wrestling videos. Well, let me say to that texter, you're welcome. You're welcome. We're just here to make your life better. Yeah! Yeah! Just here to make your life better, buddy. That's what we're here for. And frankly, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Oh, such a good drop. I turned on Tombstone last night to fall asleep to. Not that I'll ever fall asleep to that movie. But the lady friend, we popped in at the shooting of Morgan Verge. And she got into it. And I was like, tell me you've seen this movie. And she's like, I have, but it's been years and years and years. I need to watch it in its entirety. So cancel all the weekend plans.
So do you ever watch a familiar movie to go to sleep and dream that you're in that movie? Or is that just me?
I'm not going to say I've never done it. I can't remember it. If I ever dream I'm in Tombstone, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great story.
Unless you're on the other side.
Unless you're Billy Bob
So it's
Thornton.
like, wait. I know how this ends. No.
All right, let's take a look. There is some drama going on out in the western part of the country when it comes to the Mountain West Conference. This saga has been building for a while. The San Diego State University Aztecs put in a request mid-last month to extend the deadline to announce their exit from the Mountain West until the end of this month. They have to pay an exit fee, and they wanted an extra month to put together the ability to pay that exit fee, write the letter, all that good stuff. Mountain West Conference said no. Then earlier this week, the Mountain West Conference said, after San Diego State University said, well, I guess we won't leave the Mountain West. We're okay here. The Mountain West said, no. They actually aren't in the conference anymore. Their request to extend the deadline was good enough for us to consider them gone. All of this happened in the span of like a day and a half. Last Friday, San Diego State said they wanted to remain in the Mountain West. The Mountain West, however, put out a series of letters and insisted that San Diego State University formally announced it was leaving the conference, and they were going to withhold a $6.6 million payment as the first installation of the exit fee. Hey, you owe us this much money because you are leaving. And since you're going to owe us the money, instead of paying you the 6.6 mil, we're just going to hang on to that. We'll consider it your first payment and we'll call it even. San Diego State, of course, not having anywhere to go immediately to join another conference and not wanting to remain independent because unless you're Notre Dame, there's no money in that, are now arguing that they did not leave. They never wanted to leave. Right before the deadline, SDSU President Adela de la Torre wrote to the conference, quote, "We previously advised you that SDSU had not made a final determination as to whether to resign from the Mountain West Conference. I am pleased to advise you that SDSU has decided to remain in the Mountain West Conference and therefore will not be resigning at this time." However, the Mountain West Conference rejected that claim. According to the conference, SDSU had withdrawn formally and owes them a $17 million exit fee. The Mountain West said in a statement, quote, "In connection with our receipt of the SDSU notice of resignation," end quote. And then they go on in big legalese terms to say, we're keeping that 6.6 mil. That's installation number one. You're done. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. This whole thing is dramatic.
We weren't leaving. We were just kidding. Why? What's all this? Why do we got to pay money for? We're happy here.
SDSU said, we don't necessarily want to break up. We just want to go down to the bar and cruise the single scene for a little while and see what's out there. So they did. They went down to the bar, they cruised the single scene, and they found out nobody's available right now, or at least nobody attractive enough to leave what they got at home. They went to find out if the grass was greener, and it turned out the only single lady at the bar right now, the Pac-12, looked SDSU in the face and went, I'm kind of in a situationship right now. You know what I mean? Facebook allows you to click the option, it's complicated. And let's just say, it's complicated. So SDSU went cruising. The only single in the bar, the Pac-12, was like, we're not really looking to date right now. We're not really looking for a formal relationship right now. We can flirt, right? You can buy me a drink. I'll dance with you a little bit, but like, I'm not going home with you. All right. I'm not ready for that yet. So San Diego State went back home and they kicked open the door and said, Lucy, I'm home. And the Mountain West Conference said, nah, dude.
They had to kick open the door because the locks had already been changed.
That's a fact. Honey, I'm home. No, you're not. No, you're not. Your stuff is on the front yard. The car is packed. Good luck finding a hotel, bud. Maybe one of those other single conferences out there will take you in, but you don't live here anymore. So I don't know what the resolution to this is, but it does tell you that the Pac-12 is probably still a year away from getting that media rights agreement down, right? So why do I bring that up? Why do I point that out? Yeah, simple. Because I told you that's the next domino to fall, and I think that this just kind of illustrates that point. The Pac-12 is looking for a new media rights agreement. We told you a few days ago that they hired a new money person. They brought in a new CFO. They brought in Maureen Carrick. Maureen Carrick is the former CFO of the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. She has done this before. Maureen Carrick has done this exact thing. Negotiated media rights agreements. And she did it for Team USA. So, I told you when this hiring happened, they brought her in to make this cheddar. They brought Carrick in to get this deal done. And in order to get this deal done, they needed somebody who's been in the playground before. She has been. She's going to get it done, but it's not like it's going to just happen. And on top of that, We have obviously been telling you guys about the ESPN layoffs over the last week and a couple of days, right? David Pollock's gone. Gene Waszczykowski is gone. Some big names. Susie Colbert is gone. Steve Young is gone. Keyshawn Johnson is gone. Now, ESPN claims that this is a revenue move, right? They want to shift some of the big time money that they are paying to those individuals to be able to pay their production staff more. And as somebody who relies on production staffs, they have my full support if that is truly and indeed the case. I kind of hope that it is. If that is the case, despite the fact that they just gave Pat McAfee an $85 million contract, a contract that I assume could have let them keep 5 or 6 of those personalities on, but they decided to give it to Pat. And again, no hard feelings to Pat McAfee. Pat is living the life that I expected I would be living by this point in my life. I'm close. If it is a money thing, if this is truly being generated by revenue, which I don't know if it is or if it isn't, but if it is, it means ESPN is not where they want to be financially. It means ESPN may have a little bit more money out of the coffers than they planned for based on what's coming in. And considering the expectation is that ESPN is the key to the Pac-12's new media rights agreement, whether it is predominantly with ESPN or just partially with ESPN, but ESPN gets the best parts of it, right? They get the pick of what Pac-12 coverage they want. Regardless of how it works out, ESPN is the linchpin to the Pac-12 getting their media rights agreement settled. The media rights agreement getting settled is the linchpin to the next round of college football expansion. The Pac-12 is fighting for survival at this point. So was the Big 12, so was the ACC. But the ACC, obviously, as we've brought to your attention many times, has their own revenue issues right now. Mainly, they thought they were making the right move by locking themselves into a long-term deal a while back, and it turns out that wasn't the smart move. Now they're kind of screwed because Clemson and Florida State, predominantly Miami and North Carolina behind them, are going, this ain't enough money, my guy. We need more cheddar if you want to make this work. The Pac-12 has a nice little opportunity here because if they can get a beneficial media rights agreement, it adds more money into their bankroll that they can then use in the conference expansion bidding wars. A bidding war that at some point, maybe not now, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but at some point, once the SEC and the Big Ten have gone, all right, we found our balance. We're good here. We're happy with what we got. Whoever's left that are the biggest available names, there's going to be a war between the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 to survive, to pick the bones of whatever is left. So if the Pac-12 gets a very beneficial media rights agreement, they'll probably have a little bit more money with which to fight. Now, San Diego State, obviously on the surface, does not look like a Texas or Oklahoma. And they're not, right? Obviously, they're not. But it is an Aztec football team that has pulled a handful of wins out the last couple of years and is on the radar. You know who they are. It is an Aztec basketball program that is fresh off a run to the national championship game back in April. By the way, their football team has gone at least 500 13 consecutive seasons. That's pretty good. For a mid-major, that's pretty good. So they're on the radar. And the question is, if they can go 500 for 13 consecutive seasons in a mid-major, when they are frequently getting paid big bucks to go into Power 5 schools and get it handed to them, what can they do with a Power 5 level income? Could they take it to the next level? And I think the Pac-12 believes the answer is yes. Yes, they could. They're a valuable addition. So I think the Pac-12 would be interested. I think they would want the play. I think they would want to try to bring San Diego State in, but they got to know what the financials are. And you can't sit at the table and start negotiations until you know what's in your pocket. You know what's in your bank account. Many of us, not all of us, certainly not Lonzo, many of us have seen something we wanted to buy in the store and have had to go, I got to check my bank account before I buy that, right? Whether it's to make sure I'm not going over my budget or hell, just to make sure I got the money in there to buy that Whopper Junior.
I know what my allowance is, so I mean, there's no,
That's fair.
Yeah.
Lonzo's got to check with his conference commissioner, Miss Lisa. I get it. I'm engaged now. So do I. Not that I don't have the ability to make my own decisions, but we're a thing now. So it's more along the lines of, hey, I just want to make sure we don't have any big upcoming expenses I'm not thinking of before I buy this new PlayStation or whatever. Many of us have been there before. That's where the Pac-12 is. They don't know what's in the bank account right now. And they won't know what's in it until the media rights deal gets done. Once that gets done and they know what's in the bank account, then they can talk with San Diego State. San Diego State just jumped the gun. San Diego State saw the rich guy pull up outside the restaurant in the Bugatti and was like, let me go talk to that guy. And left the Mountain West sitting by herself alone at the table. And then they found out, Bugatti guy, he's renting it. That Bugatti is leased. It is now, it's not owned outright. So now they went back to the table because they're like, oh, there's not room for me in that Bugatti right now. So they went back to the table and the Mountain West is like, nah, bro, I already paid the check. I'm going home later. Everybody's eyes, the Mountain West, San Diego State, hell, the SEC and the Big Ten are all looking at the Pac-12 now. Because once that media rights agreement comes into play, then the Pac-12 can make their next move and everybody else can react and respond. Back after this to wrap up hour number 1 of the Rob Brown Show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fan Upstate. Miss Lisa, the conference commissioner.
It's a joke. It wasn't real. It just, it's just a joke.
All right. Yes, Roger. My man Skrilla came by, took good care of me. He is the best. The best. I owe Skrilla so much beer. Now I just get to fix the ceiling. It's not bad. I think the stains will come out because it didn't soak all the way through. It's just stains primarily. So hopefully it won't take that much to get it cleaned up, taken care of.
It's not just the pain. What that did is just make me depressed that I couldn't get back into the gym, and I was inactive, gaining weight. I had to find another alternative.
And for Chad, that alternative was QC Kinetics and the non-surgical natural biologic treatments that can give lasting relief to aching hips, shoulders, knees, and backs.
Once they explained it, it made sense. Putting what we have inside our body back into us in a certain strategic way to heal up in a natural process was fantastic.
QC Kinetics treatments take place right in the office. No downtime, no surgery. And as for the outcome,
I'm just back to bouncing around, having fun, doing my work, living pain-free.
Don't let chronic joint pain rob you of your quality of life. Discover advanced regenerative medicine.
All right, this is killing me because there's been a limo out there for like a couple weeks now. Whose limo is that, Rob?
I don't know. It's been there for a while. I can tell you.
It's moved. I've seen it move.
The jokes are gone. It's not mine.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Maybe it's one of the. I don't think it's anybody here. At first, I thought it was here.
No, I don't think it is.
But it's is it like the dental office?
No, I mean,
maybe it's the owner of Chicken Salad
I
Chick.
assume it's a company that needs a parking spot, and they're like, "Oh, nobody's in this lot."
Yeah, I don't know about that. You could be right though. If you're listening or watching, don't do that. Don't come and take our parking spots. At first, of course, we thought it was something here because there used to be limos here all the time when bands would come by and stuff like that. Or when the boss would roll up to work sometimes, you know. If you just pulled up in a UPS truck, are you a member of the Armada? Well, you wouldn't be able to hear it on here, would you? Just curious. And what's that thing on the top that's spinning around? Is that ventilation? What is that? See the thing on the top of the UPS thing? What is that? I don't know what that is, unless it's for ventilation or something. I don't know. Do they have to keep it a certain temperature in the back?
It is a Flettner ventilator.
Oh, yeah, the
Its purpose
Flettner.
is to keep air circulating within the vehicle on which it's been installed.
So it doesn't get too hot back there for the packages.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, it just stopped spinning. So it must be active. Is it activated by the movement of the car and the wind through the thing, or is there like a button?
They are wind powered.
Okay.
Whenever the vehicle is in motion, the unit spins and generates air movement within the vehicle. According to Flettner, the ventilator can effectively lower each truck's interior temperature anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees. And UPS trucks aren't the only vehicles you'll find them on. You'll also likely see them on other cargo trucks and Amazon delivery vans.
Cool. Done learned something. I like that.
Learn something new every day. That's the goal, Alonzo. Learn something new every day. Texas says, fans, San Diego State has so much potential. It's supposedly a beautiful place with lots of things to do, not to mention beautiful people. They could be the place to be without the Chargers being there. Yeah, and listen, you lost if you were the Pac-12. You lost the LA market. It's gone, right? That LA market's Big Ten territory now, which is a weird sentence to say, but accurate. You lost the LA market, which is not only the biggest television market in the game, which means you're not going to get the media rights agreement that you would have gotten if SC and UCLA were still in the fold. Y'all, I've been to San Diego, California. It's got all the highlights of LA with less people and less obnoxiousness. I love San Diego. I got family that lives in La Jolla, right outside of San Diego. It is an incredible city. An incredible city. This texter is not wrong. And I think that is probably to some degree what the Pac-12 is banking on, right? I think the Pac-12 is banking on, all right, we can't get back in LA, or at least not yet. There's nothing there to compete with SC and UCLA. The next best market is San Diego, and it's untapped, right? So even though San Diego is absolutely an NFL town, even with the Chargers being gone, it's an NFL town. It's football. It's football. There are colleges all over the country that are successful in NFL markets. So I think the Pac-12 would want San Diego State. And obviously, San Diego State would love the Pac-12 paycheck. But I think they jumped the gun. I think they thought the Pac-12 was going to say, yeah, we'll take you. Even without the media rights agreement, we're going to go ahead and get you signed up just so we can start working on building up in the San Diego market. But unfortunately for them, that ain't the way it works. The Pac-12 has got to find out how much money is in the bank before they can offer some of it to San Diego State to leave the Mountain West and join up. Now we just got to watch and see what happens with San Diego State. Because I'll tell you this, San Diego State is not unattractive to the other conferences. Not the Big 12 or not the Big 10 or the SEC. But they are attractive, I think, to the ACC and the Big 12, specifically the Big 12, who's got an easier path to putting a footprint down in California than the Atlantic Coast Conference. But the Atlantic Coast Conference name is going to be every bit as irrelevant soon as the Big 10 name or the Pac-12 name, right? It's not going to matter. The name's going to change at some point. Or if it doesn't, it's going to become at least incorrect.
It can be the All Coast Conference. All oceans meet somewhere.
Yeah. They'll just call it the National Conference. I don't know how that works. I frankly don't care. Whatever. The name's the name. It's not going to bother me any, right? But San Diego State could be attractive to those conferences. I just don't know that either of them is going to jump at San Diego State now until they find out what the Pac-12 puts on the table. Because if the Pac-12 comes back after they find out the media rights agreement with a ridiculously high number, they're going to let them overpay for San Diego State, or at least what they believe is overpay for San Diego State. And if the Pac-12 comes back with a dramatically lower number than people think, right? If they come back with a dramatically lower number, then if you're the ACC, maybe you can step in, or if you're the Big 12, maybe you can step in, pick up the Aztecs, and do it at a price tag that's below what they're valued at, right? Because if the Pac-12 says, hey, we'll give you $12 million a year, and the ACC thought they were going to have to pay 21, well, now they can step in and go, we'll give you $16 million a year. And they get it at a value. I don't know. Yeah! It's weird. There's a lot going on, LA. Let's take a break. Hour number 2 is around the corner. When we come back, we take a look up and down Clemson's schedule and project win-loss totals based on what we know today. Then, in segment number 2, we do it for South Carolina. We wrap up the hour doing it for the Carolina Panthers. I want your thoughts. I want your reactions. I want your record predictions next on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Do they offer ventilators for my boxers?
I bet they do.
Yeah, there's a hole right there in the front.
Yeah.
You get in trouble for opening it, but it's right there. Let's see here.
Are you looking at boxer ventilators?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'm on a work computer.
Yeah,
now.
you probably should not do that.
I went to QT. Yeah, somebody sent us a picture of that yesterday. And I did the same. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, and everybody's drinking. Big Q. Yeah. So I'm starting it this weekend, but my
You're 3 in, so it's halfway. There's only 6 of them.
yeah. My feel is that Secret Invasion is a spy thriller. It's not an action, it's a spy thriller.
Which is what it's been touted.
Yeah.
And people are upset. Well, it's all over the place. And it's supposed to
spy
be.
thriller.
You're not supposed to know what's going on. That's the whole thing.
When does the official HVAC guy come, Rob? My official HVAC guy is Skrilla. And he came by yesterday and shows up, climbs up in the attic. He's come out to look at it. He climbs up in the attic and he goes, good news, bad news is away. His good news is, or bad news is, whoever installed this thing did a crap job. They were like, they half-assed it. They just got it done to get up out of there. He goes, good news is I can fix it. And he fixed the whole thing. Just every pipe coming out of the unit to the outside of the house, fixed them all. Guy's a legend.
It's good to know a guy.
It's good to know
You
a guy.
When you got a guy, you got a guy. It's good to know a guy.
It's the thing. So Joey B said there's no AC in those UPS trucks. That's one of the major issues they want to address in their union negotiations, which I get. But like, aren't the doors on UPS trucks open like 85% of the time?
Yeah, but
so what's the point of putting AC in it?
As someone who was having trouble with their air conditioning and drove home yesterday in the 90-degree heat,
Right.
Imagine driving around that at 8 to 10 hours a day.
Right, but your car has doors.
Yeah, but even though the windows are down, it's heat blowing in. It's not like it's cold or anything. I definitely get it. It just, yeah. But because it's union, who knows if they'll actually do anything.
Yeah.
Teamsters never did anything for me other than bring guys who look like mob bosses to tell us why we should vote for them, and we did. Jimmy Hoffa Jr., if I recall. And I was just like, who? Okay. And he brought guys in who might as well have been Guido and Jocko. I don't remember their names, but I remember him. You think I'm joking, but we were legitimately scared.
That's a real nice produce section you got there.
Well, this was I was working at an auto parts warehouse, so this was Teamsters straight up. I was also in the other union for the UFs. I can't remember. It's food and grocery workers or something like that. We went on strike, and they were telling me I was coming. I was going to be on the front lines, and we weren't going to allow anyone across. It's like, dude, I ain't going to that.
If you want to ship something, get it done now.
It's a work because I heard on the way in that the Postal Service lost $1 billion. So they're orchestrating a strike. So everyone will go to the Postal Service and use them, and it will bail them out.
Right.
So it's all work. It's a government.
It's the government.
Without a doubt, it's a government. Speaking of which, there were more UFO sightings. Have you seen the orbs?
I went and watched the videos of the guy.
I haven't watched them, so I saw him posted.
Full of boat.
Okay.
First off, they asked him straight up, how much firsthand knowledge do you have? What have you seen so far? And he goes,
So
I haven't seen anything.
you're talking about the whistleblower. I'm talking about there's new pictures out yesterday.
I'll look at them.
Yeah.
But one the other day I walked down, a dude went and did all the trigonometry of one of the videos and then stabilized it. It's a duck. And not only is it a duck, but
It's a duck. Hey, man,
Or a goose.
in my professional opinion, that was a duck.
That's a duck. Our Numerados starts now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. I am Rob, the professor of perfection, the sultan of swag, the wizard of wave, the great one himself. Lonzo is on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM. Should you elect to be a part of the radio broadcast, now is a wonderful opportunity to do just that. The phone line's open. 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. You can also hit us up on the text line at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. You can tweet us at The Rob Brown Show. You can thread us.
We won't see it, but you go right ahead unless you have the thread thing on your phone.
I do.
Will it alert you when you've gotten a thread?
Yep, I got
When you
the
have
push
received a
notifications on.
thread? Okay. All right.
But
Have you received a thread yet?
I did receive the thread yesterday.
No, I mean during the show. Have you received a thread? He's having to look for it. So I'm guessing that would be no.
No.
Okay. All right.
I did get 2 more follows on threads.
So you got like 7?
I have no idea.
Okay. All
I
right.
honestly don't know. But you
Are
can,
they called follows?
you can't
on Thread?
threads us. You can threads me. Is that what we're calling it? Sending a thread? Because here's the thing. On Twitter, they have threads. A thread is when multiple tweets are all connected to each other because you
See,
can't fit all of
When
one
I
tweet.
think
So you
thread, I think hanging by. So I mean, I don't. Or
like a thread
a doe, a deer, a
is
female
used
deer. That's
to stitch things together. So if you have multiple tweets stitched together, it's a thread, right? A message, a thread. Now this whole app's called a thread. So if I send out one thing, what's the plural of that? Right? Because 1 is a thread, 2 is a threads.
it's like back in the 70s when you say, "Hey man, check out my threads."
Yeah.
So it's I guess you do that.
I got
I don't know.
threads. Anyway, you can thread me at the Rob Brown Show as well. I may or may not see it.
It just doesn't. Hey man,
It doesn't work.
hey, thread me.
Yeah.
No, that just doesn't. That sounds like has some connotations or something.
Like
I don't-
Zuck went down the road, but he took a wrong turn with the name. Like I get where it comes from, but it just doesn't work.
Here's why they're fighting for real. Because the name is so stupid. Elon Musk is like, yeah, we gotta go. We gotta hit the octagon. Come on, man. You're supposed to be smart.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is an old tradition in this business of ours that you are required to, by federal law, I believe, capital punishment on the table. If you do not, at some point in July, give your season win-loss projections.
We kind of hold out though. It's like getting that last email of having to do that Odyssey module.
Yep.
Which I just got. So I'll be doing that later.
You are 7 days overdue.
Yeah.
HR finds out about it tomorrow. All right.
No. What they do, the final thing is they add your boss to the the email. Yes. We were wondering what happens. So we do that with this. We wait until the boss is involved, and now we have to do it.
So we got a letter from the President of the United States that said, Ramen Lonzo, I've noticed that you have not yet done your season win total projections yet. If you wouldn't mind getting right on that. If you don't, federal prison awaits. So we got to go ahead and knock that out. Let's start off, Lonzo, with the Clemson Tigers. Clemson, of course, coming off of holy crap, dude. That was so loud.
It is not loud.
That scared the hell out of me.
He thought it was a real cat in here. It's a Clemson Tiger growl. I don't get why you're I mean, come on.
That was
I got something for South Carolina too, just to warn you ahead of time. Hey, it's not my fault. I got a toy. I'm going to use it. You're okay when I hit the yes. Maybe you're just offended by the Clemson Tigers.
no. I don't think you understand. Go back and I jumped forward because I assumed something evil was coming through the door behind me. That scared the hell out of me. I almost morassed myself.
So now I'm not allowed to play the thing. Okay. All right.
No.
So, I mean, you already got me on eggshells,
Play the
dude.
thing, but does the volume have to be on 75?
First of all, it barely hit 0, whilst this is someone over there talking about something being loud. When I have to ride the fader most of the time while you're talking, it barely hit 0.
Dude, Keegan just said, I just watched Rob almost lose his job live on the air. No, but you almost watched Lonzo have to scramble to the dump button because Rob Brown was very close to dropping an F-bomb right there. It had been the first time in my radio career. First time, and the kitty cat purr almost got me.
No, it's a tiger growl. So now we found out that Rob also hates kittens.
Rob loves kittens. I'm a big fan. I'll tell you what I'm not a fan of. Demon-like entities screaming in my ear when all I wanted to do was talk about Clemson Duke on September 4th.
How loud are your headphones?
They're fine right now, but when that played, they were turned up somewhere in the realm of audible hellscape.
All right, so everything you just said is several dB louder than the cat. So I'm not going to overmodulate because then the cat would sound demonic. So I wouldn't do that.
Trey said Rob really can't handle jump scares. No, he can't. It's not a joke. That's not a gimmick, my dude.
So now I might as well retire the cart wall because I cannot use it because there's a chance that it might jump scare Rob.
You have hit me with Doc Holliday, LA Knight, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the firing up of the Batmobile by Adam West. You have hit me with all the clips and they've all been fine. But for whatever reason, that one led me to believe that I was about to fight for my mortal life.
All I know is
my freaking heart rate is 99 right now.
If I'm a Clemson fan, I'm completely offended right now that Rob cannot handle the tiger growl. That just really, if I was a Clemson fan, I'd be really mad at you right now.
Texter said, Rob, it got me too. I'm not alone. And some of y'all on stream jumped too. Don't even lie. Just because we can't see you.
They did
don't
not.
I don't know you did.
They did not.
Unfriggin' believable.
Wow. So when I put that in this morning, I never thought we'd be having this conversation. It's just a tiger growl. It's the Clemson tiger growl. I don't get why that bothers you.
It wasn't the sound of a cat. I have a cat, Wade. Wade's the best. I love the Wade. I love cats. I'm a dog guy. I like cats. That was not a cat. That was a demon from the fifth circle of Dante's hell is what that was.
Are you going to talk Clemson Tigers?
Yes. Oh.
Would you like me to get rid of the tiger growl altogether?
No, I'd just like you to play it at not Spinal Tap levels.
It's not loud. Dude, I'm looking right at the meters. You want to come around here and watch when I play it?
No.
You afraid the tiger's coming after the parrots on your shirt? There he comes.
Unfreaking believable. All right. Let me compose myself here, ladies and gentlemen. Season win total projections for the Clemson Tigers. Excellent. Nailed it. They open September 4th against the Duke Blue Devils. I think we're all chalking that one up to a dub to open the season 1-0.
That would be a win, even though Rob has touted Duke as being better than what we think.
Better than they have been is not as good as Clemson. We know that, yeah? Then they've got Charleston Southern, week 2, September 9th. That's a win.
Victory for Clemson, yes.
We'll stay the same, by the way. Duke on the road. The next 2 games, Charleston Southern, followed by FAU on the 16th. That one's in Death Valley.
Wow.
FAU's a dub. We're sitting at 3-0.
What a difficult schedule that Clemson has right now.
It does get difficult in week 4, September 23rd. That is when the Seminoles of Florida State, Mike Norvell, and the Noles come a call into Death Valley. And ladies and gentlemen, I am, as of today, going to pick Clemson here. Now, I think this has got a chance to be game of the year, certainly in the ACC.
Wait. You picked Clemson?
I am picking Clemson today.
Okay, all
today.
right.
I reserve the right to change any of these predictions at any point between now and, I don't know, September 23rd.
I also will be picking Clemson.
I am taking the Tigers over the Noles today for a few reasons. Number one, despite the fact that I was told last year that Clemson's defense was going to be historic, and it was not, I do think they're better this year. I think they're settled. I think they've now got some consistency as opposed to a first-year defensive coordinator in the position. Despite the fact that I do think the defensive line is going to be worse. How could it not? You lost 2 first-round NFL draft picks. I do think the backfield of the defense is going to be good. And I have seen Jordan Travis from Florida State, who is a top 5 Heisman odds getter right now, get rattled if he gets got early in the game. I'm going to trust Clemson to do that in this game. I do think this is an incredible game, and do not color me shocked at all if FSU wins it. If this game's in Tallahassee, I pick the Noles, but it's not. It's in Death Valley. Now, let's not forget, not this past year, but the year before, Florida State came calling. They came up to Death Valley, and for about 3.5 quarters, Florida State had that game won. Clemson, courtesy of, we should give Will Shipley the ball, put away from Florida State late in that game. In fact, I was covering that game. I left that game with about 5 minutes left in the fourth because Lonzo told me traffic getting out of Clemson is awful.
Was I wrong?
I don't know. I left 5 minutes before the game was over.
All right.
To listen to friend of the show, Don Munson, call the end of it on the radio in the car. And when I got to the car, he's like, would you look at that? Clemson's got a lead. Now, that was a bad Florida State team who came up to Death Valley and gave the Tigers everything they wanted and a little bit more. This is not a bad Florida State team. In fact, there are a handful of polls that have Florida State power ranked above the Clemson Tigers this year. I don't believe that yet. Don't be surprised if I change my pick between here and September 23rd based on what the first few weeks of the season look like. Keep in mind, Florida State bats lead off with the LSU Tigers. Not the same LSU that they were a number of years ago, but a good LSU. This is the team last year, remember? Florida State kicked a walk-off extra point to avoid overtime in what I believe would have been a loss. They won that game. If Florida State beats LSU in week 1 and builds some momentum, I might change the pick. But I'm going to take Clemson for right now. After Clemson, they're on the road. They're up in Syracuse against the Orange. Another team that has given Clemson a fit a time or two over the past 5 years. They're not going to be the same. Dino Babers is on the hot seat at Syracuse for a very good reason. Clemson's going to win at Syracuse. Do we have any disagreements so far?
No, I'm going to go with Clemson there.
Wake Forest on October 7th comes to South Carolina. Wake Forest does not have Sam Hartman anymore. He was the reason Wake was anything close to a good team last year. He is now Notre Dame's quarterback. They're going to struggle. Give me Clemson big over Wake Forest.
I also am taking Clemson. So they're undefeated so far.
So far, so good. Then they travel down October 21st. Ladies and gentlemen, this has the potential to be a trap game. The potential to be a trap game on the road at Miami. A good chunk of it is going to depend on what Miami does earlier in the year. Miami fans are, once again, the Mississippi State of the ACC. We back, baby. Clanger, clanger, clanger. We're here. We're ready. I don't think they are. I don't think they're back. In fact, I think they're further away today than they were last year. But Mario Cristobal's got to point it in the right direction, albeit a very slow progress in that direction. However, you're looking down the road at NC State, another team that can give Clemson a fit. You're looking 2 weeks away at Notre Dame. I would watch out for this game. I'm going to pick Clemson. But if there's a potential upset, not team they could lose to, that would be Florida State, Notre Dame. If there's a potential upset on the schedule, they belong to Miami at Miami and South Carolina at Columbia.
All right, let me quote William Christopher Sweeney by saying, Clemson, Clemson, Clemson.
Astute analysis, ladies and gentlemen. They don't call him the best color man in the business for nothing. Then we move on. You got to go up to Raleigh. You got to take on the Wolfpack of NC State. That being said, Dennis Leary is not there anymore. 2 teams, Wake Forest and NC State, that look like they were very close to turning a corner, and both of them have lost their primary QB. I'm going to go Clemson on the road over NC State. They remain undefeated through Halloween.
All right, I'm going to go with Clemson also, and this make you wonder. I thought the ACC was supposed to be better this year, but we're both picking Clemson to be undefeated at this point.
We are, but we ain't done yet, because after NC State, great one, the Irish of Notre Dame come a-calling to the Palmetto State. This game is November 4th of 2023. The Irish come to town. And this is the first L for the Clemson Tigers. I think NC State, though not as good offensively as they were last
Sorry,
year.
I missed that one.
That's fine. Though not as good as they were last year, the Wolfpack will be physical. They will play what I think is going to be a very intense game against Miami.
We're talking about Notre Dame because you said Wolfpack.
Don't turn your back on the Wolfpack. NC State the week before Clemson plays Notre Dame. So they got an intense game against Miami on the road. They come back, then they're on the road at Raleigh for a, I think, physical game against NC State. They're back home for Notre Dame, home field advantage against the Irish. But Sam Hartman, who can give and has given them fits, now plays for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And now he has better weapons on the perimeter than he ever could have dreamed of having at Wake Forest. Clemson takes their first regular season loss on November 4th when the Irish come to town.
I've always believed and will continue to believe that Notre Dame has been overrated for like 30 years or something like that. And although like their first meeting was really close, I think that was in the rain between Clemson and Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's not really in the ACC. But you know what? Clemson's going to beat Notre Dame. So Clemson is undefeated for me at this point.
Undefeated so far for the great one. I have got the first regular season loss against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish on November 4th. November 4th.
On the 1st.
It's midnight between the 3rd and the 4th. It's the 3rd. Clemson then stays home to host Georgia Tech on November 11th. Again, this one's only interesting because Georgia Tech, you got to be ready to play classic pro-style defense against Notre Dame. You turn around the next week, you got Georgia Tech, who is not the triple option team they used to be. But with Jeff Sims, this is a team that can throw some interesting looks at you. That being said, this is one of 2 games in a row, Lonzo, that Clemson should just be able to out-athlete their opponents. Give me the Tigers at home over the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not adding a whole lot to this, but I've said many times, especially lately, that Clemson is the ACC, and Clemson's going to get a victory.
Then we look to the penultimate game of the season. This one is going to be November 18th when the Tar Heels come to town. Now, this is another one that if I'm going to say there's a potential upset, I'm going to circle it.
It's a trap.
It is a trap. You're coming off Georgia Tech, which means you spent the week before North Carolina preparing for nothing that Drake May is going to run at you when you play the Heels. The good news for Clemson, this one's at home. But Carolina's going to be good this year. Not great.
North Carolina.
North Carolina's going to be good this year. Not great, but they're going to be good. And Drake May is going to be a top 5 NFL draft pick when he moves up to the show. And he's going to put on a show. Why? Here's the problem for Clemson. You got Georgia Tech the week before, so you've been preparing for not what you're traditionally used to. And you will still very much be in the hunt for a playoff spot at this point. You'll have to win out if you take the L to Notre Dame like I think. If Lonzo's right, you're undefeated. You're in the top 4, no doubt, right? But who do they play the week after North Carolina? 7 days to the day after they play North Carolina? South Carolina. You can get into a trap game here by looking ahead, Lonzo, for revenge. Looking ahead and thinking about 31-30. Looking ahead and thinking about they came into our house and planted the flag to disrespect us. We're going to their house to make them remember exactly who the hell Big Brother is in this state. If Clemson gets caught after spending a week not practicing their regular stuff because of Georgia Tech, looking ahead to South Carolina, do not be shocked if North Carolina comes to the house and upsets the Tigers. I'm not picking it. But Lonzo may be playing on November 20th when we come back from holiday, from weekend. Lonzo might very well be playing the sad kitty cat sounder. I can see this as a potential upset in this one. I'm going to pick Clemson today. Don't be shocked if they lose that game.
All right, so I'm going to go with Clemson here. So they're undefeated at this point, and that is a happy kitten. It's not a sad kitten. Just because it made you sad doesn't mean it's a sad kitten.
It didn't make me sad. It made me angry.
Okay.
There's a difference. Who you like in this game?
I just said they're undefeated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're undefeated.
And then November 25th, the Tigers head to Columbia. They take on Spencer Rattler, Shane Beamer, and the Gamecocks. The Tigers take on the Gamecocks. It's just art. It's just poetry.
I found twin roosters. Yeah. I don't know if they're actually twins, but there's two of them. It could be twins. I don't know.
Texter just said, my cat-hating dog in my truck freaks out over that Clemson kitty sound drop. Texter, you probably shouldn't have told Lonzo that. I am going to take, Lonzo, in the Palmetto Bowl, the Clemson Tigers to win on the road at South Carolina.
Of course you are.
I am.
Of course you are.
And I'm going to tell you why.
That's fine.
Until South Carolina shows me that they've got a run game, I am going to act as if Spencer Rattler is the key by himself. Clemson's seen it now. They've seen it up close and personal. Clemson's strength is going to be in the defensive backfield. They can try to force South Carolina into being one-dimensional. As of today, I have to assume South Carolina will be one-dimensional. So, at the season conclusion for Rob Brown, as of today, July 7th, 2023, I am calling Clemson as a regular season 11-1, and your ACC championship will be against an 11-1 Florida State game. We'll talk about that one later, but I am going, Zoe, the Tigers finish 11-1, their sole blemish, a home loss to the Irish of Notre Dame.
All right, really quickly, because we absolutely need to go to break. I just got to say that this is a vengeance game for Clemson. They're going to go to Columbia and think they're going to get their vengeance, but like the year before, a chance at the national championship and make it into the playoffs is going to be on the line for Clemson. And my victor is the Gamecocks, because I believe Spencer Rattler came back for two reasons. One, because he knew he wouldn't get drafted as high as he wanted to. And the other is to beat Clemson again and lead the Gamecocks even higher than what they were last year, which I know we're going to get to in the next segment. But yeah, I think they do it again. I think we're going for 2 in a row.
We are going to get to it to the next segment, because when we come back, we do the same for the Gamecocks of South Carolina.
So I have Clemson 11-1 also.
We both have them 11-1. I've got them dropping a homer to the Irish. Lonzo's got them dropping a roadie to the Gamecocks. We will take a look at the Gamecocks schedule, and we'll wrap up with the Carolina Panthers in hour number 2 with the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Do I have a Threads notification, you guys? Oh, it's an accepted follow request. How about that?
Oh, so you have to request to follow someone and they have to decide?
It's just like Twitter. People can set it to private.
Okay.
And they have to approve your follow or not. It's Twitter. It's the same thing.
We'll be back. Rob needs to calm down. But here's the thing, if I warn him about it, then I lose the joke. I mean, we'll be back. brought you back.
Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
Keegan, I'd tell you to send that video to Lonzo, but you'd get blocked immediately. Actually, no, you might find it disgustingly interesting.
I will be making a short video clip that I don't normally do after the show.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you want to make it yourself, just so you can see the look on your face.
I know the look on my face.
If I tell you, then it ruins the joke. It wasn't done to scare you.
Oh, I know. I know you didn't do it
Obvious what I'm
intentionally.
doing there.
Sponsored by Corley Plumbing, Air and Electric.
If I purposefully try to scare you, it's going to be more creative than that.
Satisfaction are our top priority. Call Corley Plumbing, Air, and Electric today, or skip the line and book online. CorleyPro.com. That's CorleyPro.com. And now, CBS Sports Radio.
Up 6. Here's how to get in the game on your radio at 97.7 FM 13.
You know, Trey, when I first started in radio, we had these everywhere. So it isn't like this is a new experience for me. I'm actually having to go back to some of the things that I used to be able to do. New person, though. So now I'm worried about reactions for anything. I think it's treble. I think you have trouble with treble. All the other stuff is bassy. That is the most treble thing that I played.
Well, yes, indeed it is time to talk about the schedule of Gamecocks of South Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it for Clemson. Lonzo and I both have this team at 11-1. I've got a home loss to the Irish. He's got an away loss at South Carolina. Let's look at said Gamecocks. We start, Lonzo, September 2nd. This one is a neutral site game in Charlotte, North Carolina at Bank of America Stadium. North Carolina, 1.5-point favorite. Drake May, as I mentioned, I think is going to be a top 5 NFL draft pick. Unless Spencer Rattler has a crazy year this year, I don't think he will be that high. I think he's probably a late first round guy. I've seen projections of him anywhere from mid first round to late third round as a draft pick. We'll see. He's got an opportunity if he can go out and outduel Drake May. Unfortunately for the Gamecocks, I think Carolina comes out of the gate hot. I think North Carolina, for the first time in a long time, actually believes they're good, as opposed to just saying it. Oh, we got the brand, baby. I think they actually believe they're good, and I think they're hot out of the gate. It's going to be interesting to see, if it goes the way I think it is, how Shane Beamer handles a bit of adversity, because I think there's some coming. South Carolina begins the year, Lonzo, with a road loss and an 0-1 record out of the gate. They drop a close one to the heels in Charlotte.
All right, so here's the thing. This will be, I believe, our third football season together.
Correct.
For 2 years now, I've heard the Rob Brown hype of North Carolina. And to the point, by early to mid season, I thought they were going to be good. I've heard this. I've watched this movie. You're not getting me on the North Carolina hype this time. You're not doing it. You got me the last couple of times. You're not getting me this time. And if I recall, last time you got me, I ended up paying for it with Boo Box, because every single time I would go with you on the North Carolina and I would get a loss. And I'm not doing that. The Gamecocks are going to win this game.
So I start 0-1, the great one 1-0 against North Carolina. September 9th, the Paladins of FU come to town. Furman visits Columbia, South Carolina, and South Carolina's just going to out-athlete Furman. I love Furman. I'm all in. I'm all in. The South Carolina wins that game. Lonzo has them at 2-0. I've got them at 1-1. Then they're on the road at the Georgia Bulldogs. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time breaking this one down. South Carolina, steel yourselves. Prepare yourselves, friends. You're going to get throttled by the Dogs. So
Yeah,
they're not just trying to
yeah,
win the game,
yeah.
but to prove that they are still them. South Carolina gets throttled by Georgia. They drop to 1-2.
All right, I'm curious in the Rob Brown way of looking at things. How many points is a throttling?
35.
35. So if there were odds out there and the over was 30, you would take it for Georgia.
I would take in this game Georgia minus 26.5.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
Throttled.
listen, I'm not going to say the Gamecocks are going to beat Georgia. I do believe there's a chance because I always believe there's a chance because I remember them no chance of beating Alabama, and they did. And other teams, no chance of them beating Clemson last year, and they did. No chance of them whooping Tennessee's butt, and they did. I am going to go with Georgia, but I'm not going with a throttling.
Either way, an L. I've got South Carolina through the first 3 weeks of the season at 1-2. Lonzo has them at 2-1. Then Mississippi State clanger comes to town. It is in Columbia, September 23rd. This is a must-win game for me. Remember, we were talking about the Gamecocks earlier this week, and I said this is the year that South Carolina has to win the games that they should win. To me, this is a should-win game. You're going to hear a lot of analysts call this a toss-up. A lot of it. They do this with Mississippi State every year. It's the year they turn the corner. Well, State obviously had the offseason tragedy with the loss of Mike Leach. They've got a new first-year coach who has already made it clear that he is going to be shifting away from the Mike Leach offense. They will not be an air raid offense this year. They are going to be a very balanced pro-style offense. I think the shift in an offensive strategy while still utilizing Mike Leach guys leads to a game that South Carolina should win. Give me the Gamecocks over the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm going to go with South Carolina here too. And you're going to find out at this point whether they have a running game or not. You were talking about you don't know if they have one. I would say by now you'll know.
I would agree with that entirely. Then September 30th, 7 days later, the Gamecocks go on the road. They are over to Knoxville, Tennessee, where they enter Neyland Stadium to take on the Volunteers. Last year, we all know what happened in this game. South Carolina boat raced Hendon Hooker until he got hurt. Then they boat raced
down from Rocky Top. Reckon they never will.
Then they boat raced Joe Milton. Now, this game comes down to, are Tennessee fans correct about Milton? If Milton is the guy Tennessee fans believe he is, I really think Tennessee rebounds from that L last year and wins this game. And that's what I'm going to hang on to. The Volunteers get a little revenge. I think this is a very close game, but they have increased their talent. The loss of Hendon Hooker was an emotional roller coaster in game for them last year. That kind of affected them mentally. I don't think it's the same thing here. I'm going to take Tennessee in a close one at home over the Gamecocks. So that is a loss to Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee, making them at this point in the season for me, Lonzo, 2-3.
Have you ever seen a team that's overhyped and they're looking for revenge? They're looking, the adrenaline is pumping and they're just going to do it. Tennessee's going to be that. They're going to be that going against the Gamecocks. Here's the problem with that. They don't know how to contain it. And after a while, they're going to burn out. South Carolina is going to be slow and steady. They're not going to look to blow them out again like they did last year. South Carolina wins this game.
I think steady's the word, right? Because South Carolina was not steady last year,
They
but it
were
was
not.
game by game, not quarter by quarter. Tennessee was unsteady quarter by quarter. South Carolina, a team that lost to Florida, what was it, 38-0? And then turn around and beat Tennessee by just a butt whooping. They got to prove to me they can be consistent. And this is where I have a question mark. Then, speaking of the Gators, a little revenge opportunity for South Carolina when Florida comes to call it. Billy Napier's recruiting class for next year, through the roof, through the moon. It looks great right now. In fact, most of the sites have them as a top 3 or 4 recruiting class right now. That being said, I've seen nothing out of Billy Napier on the field that leads me to believe that Florida turns any sort of corner this year. South Carolina knocks off the Gators at home. They get back to 500 at 3-3.
You know, we talked last week about that fan base that's not your rival, but you can't stand. If you're a Florida fan, I probably don't like you. There might be some good ones out there. I don't know any of them. I don't want to see Florida. And even if I thought Florida would win, I would not pick them. I'll let my bias shine through right here. And I'm going with the Gamecocks over Florida.
Going with the Gamecocks over Florida. So Lonzo's got them sitting at this point at 5-1 with a single loss to the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm at 3-3. The next week, it is back to the other Columbia when South Carolina goes to Mizzou. This is another one of those games that's going to get called a toss-up, but to me is a must-win game. Shane's got to prove that he can win, not just a game, got to win this game. You got to go win the Battle of the Columbias. Give me South Carolina to finally get over the hurdle and knock off Mizzou and to get above 500 for the first point in the season.
Same here. And I know you're thinking, well, he's just being a fan, and that's why he's got them winning. So, but we got one game difference, don't we?
No. I've got them in a game over 500. You've got them at this point with a single loss.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Then we go, ladies and gentlemen, down to the home of the Colt. Texas A&M will host the Gamecocks of South Carolina. I'm going to tell you right now, if Jimbo Fisher didn't have a $3 billion buyout on his contract, Jimbo Fisher would not be working in College Station right now. But he is, and things are going great. This is another game that's going to be labeled as a toss-up game by the media. I'm telling you, South Carolina could and should be better than A&M this year. Lonzo, I'm going to take the Gamecocks to climb 2 games over 500 and get a win over A&M.
So at this point, I start getting worried about people thinking a certain way about me, and then I remember I don't care. I'm going to go with South Carolina to win here.
I like it. I like it. Week after that, the Gamecocks host the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State University. This one's in Columbia, November 4th. Not a lot of time needed for this one. The Gamecocks beat the Gamecocks. South Carolina now sitting 3 games over 500 for me. Lonzo's, I'm assuming, going to keep them as a one-loss team through this point in the season.
You would be right.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you're right, and South Carolina is a one-loss team at this point in the season, great one, Shane Beamer's going to get a statue, right? Because
no, he will not get a statue. It's been done before.
If they are, at this point in the year, a one-loss football program, they're in the playoff picture. This is where it starts to clear up.
Well, it depends on how bad they lose to Georgia. If they got throttled like you think they're going to be, then it's going to be hard to put them in.
I'll say they're towards the bottom of the one-loss teams.
But
they're in the picture.
If this was a year from now, definitely when we go to 12.
November 11th, Vandy comes a call in. This is one of those games you have to win. This is a game you should win. Give me the Gamecocks over Vanderbilt.
Yeah, don't even ask me.
And then Lonzo, friend of the show, Shane Beamer, host, not friend of the show, Mark Stoops on the Kentucky Wildcats. Come a calling. This is funny sunglasses and hats and dancing rivalry game territory. November 18th, Kentucky comes to Carolina. Kentucky, much like Carolina, a team that people think is right there on the cusp of taking the next step. I think they took a step back this year. Give me the Gamecocks over the Wildcats in their penultimate game.
Bring your sunglasses even if it's raining.
That's a fact, Jack.
Go Gamecocks.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, Thanksgiving weekend, rivalry week, the Palmetto Bowl takes place. Lonzo and I have both given you our picks on this one already. Zoe rolling with the Gamecocks, Rob Brown selecting the Tigers. If Lonzo's prediction is correct at this point, he has got an 11-1 South Carolina team. Rob Brown's prediction comes correct, you'll be looking at an 8-4 club. And I will tell you right now, I will be satisfied, not thrilled, satisfied at 8-4. I want a game better over the next 2 years. Get me to where 10's the expectation. I've got you at 8-4 right now. In the final year of divisions in the Southeastern Conference, I think this team is going to be 3rd in the SEC East. They will check in right behind Georgia, followed by Tennessee, then South Carolina and Florida.
All right, so this is fantasy booking. This is all this is when it comes down to predictions
for
this
sure.
early, because people don't know. There are injuries that come into play. There's that player that no one's ever heard of that suddenly breaks out this year. There's so many things that happen when they're actually on the field. So if someone, some other show, some other station says they know what's going to happen, they don't know, and neither do we. But the perfect scenario, aside from both teams being undefeated coming into it, is two teams with one loss fighting for a chance for the playoff. Well, actually, no, it would be an undefeated Clemson and South Carolina with one loss getting ready to put the loss on Clemson.
Yeah. So Zoe's got an 11-0 Clemson team taking on a 10-1 South Carolina team. A loss in the final week of the season does not eliminate you from the playoff, but it makes it to where you better have won a lot of those 10 by a lot of points because it's style points.
Only if you have a "the" in front of your name can you get away with that. I think it really comes down to this. Are there any powerhouses that South Carolina plays other than Georgia? I mean, on that schedule, can you definitively go, okay, they have no shot against them? The only team that you said that was Georgia.
Yeah, I know. I would agree with that. The only team South Carolina cannot beat is the Georgia. They cannot beat Georgia. They can beat the other teams I have them falling to. They can beat North Carolina. It'll take a great game. They can beat Tennessee. It'll take a great game. They can beat Clemson. It'll take a great game. It's going to take, I'm sorry, I said 8-4. I got them at 9-3. I got them dropping 1 to Carolina, 1 to Georgia, 1 to Tennessee, winning out until Clemson. No, I was right, 8-4 with the Clemson game. I had at three losses going into Clemson. Lonzo had him at 1. All right, your thoughts, your reactions. What do you like? What do you not like? I want them when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. The term fantasy booking is exactly what this is, without a doubt.
You should want me to be right, because how interesting would that be?
Oh, hell yeah. I absolutely want you to be right.
It's a battle of the top two teams in baseball. Atlanta, the leader in the National League East. They've got the best record in the league and an 8.5-game lead over the Marlins atop the division. Tampa is the leader in the American League East. They've got a on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders with the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases.
Oh, I did it again.
Bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Oh, dude, that's not good.
What's that?
Babbel is designed
Radiator,
with
yeah.
In just
Oh,
3 weeks,
we got a
we'll
hood up
have
out there?
conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Vamos a tener mucha diversión.
And that means we're going to have so much fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
If you're hired, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack.
I'd be doing the same thing, my man, just looking at it going, I don't know how to fix that.
And now you can try it for
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the fan upstate. For those of you on the stream, you get to see Lonzo for a minute. I'm working on getting my computer or my camera back up and running, but I think you can still hear me. I hope you can still hear me.
Yeah, they can still hear you because because I'm on there.
I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you can hear me, that's where the art comes from.
My head behind the logo is awesome.
At Ben_Cooper8 sent a tweet to at the Rob Brown Show. Said, as a Gamecock fan, I believe you are correct on 8 and 4, but I believe we should get an upset versus Tennessee, Georgia, or Clemson and fall to someone we shouldn't. And, I mean, that follows a trend, right? You did it last year. You got the upset win on Tennessee and Clemson, but you ended up losing to, a Florida team that was fine, but they weren't as good as that loss to the Gators made them look out to be. And on the flip side, that Missouri loss, that Missouri loss was the first time all season, probably the only time all season that I went, this isn't good enough, dude. Like, this just is not good enough. So I'm good with that. Texter said, all right, Gamecock taters. Here's my prediction. He said South Carolina goes 6-9, misses a bowl, gets blown out in 3 games, and Shane Beamer sits squarely on the hot seat. Nah.
You out there cause them Tigers, they gonna do that, and then them Gamecock, they suck, so they gonna lose all them games, and they ain't gonna go nowhere, and then Shane Beamer, he gonna have to go be retired of work at McDonald's or something.
Clemson Boomhauer, the absolute best. The absolute best.
Wow, Texter, who do you pull for?
Thanks, Captain America Chris Evans down the
for
hall.
Fixing our issues there. We're back. Thanks, buddy.
Always a pleasure.
Mine. Lonzo, what is the ceiling and what is the roof for Clemson? What is the ceiling? What is the roof for South Carolina?
Let me check with Michael Jordan on that. I'm not quite sure. The ceiling for Clemson, the reachable ceiling, is undefeated for sure, because they play in a poor conference and a conference that's not getting better. We'll see. You asked me what my opinion was. So the ceiling is undefeated.
Ceiling's undefeated. What's the
ceiling's
floor?
Undefeated. Floor would be 2 losses.
10-2.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I would say ceiling is undefeated. I would say floor is 9-3. I look at Florida State. I look at Notre Dame. I look at a trap game against North Carolina. Any or all of those could be losses. Same thing for South Carolina, ceiling and floor.
Ceiling is what I've already said, which is 11-1. Floor is probably 8 wins.
8 is the floor.
Yeah.
I would go 7-5 is the floor, and I'm going to go 10-2 is the ceiling, right? I think 10-2 is the best you can end up with. I think you could be a 7-5 team this year. I think if you lose to all the teams all the teams that you're expected to lose to, which really for me, Georgia, I'd say Tennessee, and I'd say Clemson. Those are going to be the 3 teams that are definitively favored over the Gamecocks. If you lose to all the teams you're supposed to lose to and drop a couple that you're not, which Shane has done, 7-5 is the floor. I would say 10-2 is the ceiling for South Carolina. All right, Texter 71307. Start your text with fan. What's your ceiling and floor for the Gamecocks and the Tigers? Let's take a break. We come back. We'll address some of your thoughts and wrap up our Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
So he just unplugged it. Look like
yes.
Yeah.
The old turn it off and on again stretch.
In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter has to find all the right people, jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO.
That is exactly correct, Joe. Talent and depth is the issue for South Carolina. You got a real good line of front guys, but if they fall off.
What if they don't, though? What if they played at a potential with no injuries?
If nobody gets hurt, 10-2.
It'll be here before you know it.
Yes, we are a month and 20-something days away.
That's still 11-1 though, Trey.
People are starting to post more videos of the sphere. They're wild, dude.
Yeah.
They're wild.
Order yours today at upstategolfcart.com. 9 rounds of golf for only $99. Get yours now while supplies last. Upstategolfcart.com. That's upstategolfcart.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. During summer, be sure to use dishwashers and stoves in the evening to minimize the effects of heat. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing? Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble.
Some people will be jealous of Charles Robinson's hair, Trey.
I'm working on it. I hit it with a blow dryer the other day. I'm getting the big swoop.
Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
And this report sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. We'll start with basketball. Spurs' first overall pick, Victor Wembanyama, says he believes pop star Britney Spears grabbed him from behind Wednesday night as he was walking into a restaurant in the Las Vegas casino. Wembanyama didn't know at first it was Spears.
First I was like, no, you're joking. So, yeah, it turns out it was Britney Spears. But I didn't know because I didn't see her. I never saw her face.
Spears has filed a police report claiming she was struck by a security guard. And she has just simply tapped Wembanyama on the shoulder. Wembanyama makes his MLB.
So I thought about that statement from Britt. I tapped him on the shoulder. So then I went and looked. Britney Spears is 5 feet 4 inches tall. Victor Wembanyama is 7 feet 5 inches tall, which means that his shoulder is roughly 7 feet in the air. Britney's 5'4". So with her hands up, she's getting to what? 6'5"? So Britney's trying to convince me that she's got a 14-ish inch vertical.
Was he sitting down?
No, from what I understand, everybody was it was in a moment where they were all walking. And don't get me wrong.
Maybe a fan gave her a boost.
I am team Brit for pretty much everything.
I just want to see the video. Because there's got to be a video. And that will prove the whole thing one way or the other.
Yeah! 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 The third, the final, the best, the money hour, the Rob Brown Show goes now, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Yeah! Ask you guys your thoughts on Lonzo and I's record predictions for the Tigers and the Gamecocks. Lonzo has the Clemson Tigers going 11-1. Their only loss, a road blemish, and back-to-back L's to the Gamecocks. On the flip side, Lonzo has the Gamecocks. Lonzo has the Gamecocks. Lonzo has the Gamecocks.
I just want to see how many times he would say it.
I thought about really aggravating you right there. Lonzo has the Gamecocks going.
Well, next thing, I'm not saying anything till he answers. Yeah, you don't want to do that. That always ends bad.
Lonzo has the Gamecocks going 11-1 in the regular season, with their only blemish being a road loss to the Georgia Bulldogs. Oof.
That was very bulldogish. Way to go. Even do your jowls that way.
Thanks for saying I have jowls, buddy.
We all have jowls. It's the beard. It does that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
On the flip side, Rob Brown has the Tigers of Clemson taking a single loss. It is a home loss to the Irish of Notre Dame. I think that it's a interesting part of the season. As I mentioned, I think Clemson could absolutely end up with as many as 3 losses this year, but I'm predicting, as of today, it's July 7th. Let's all relax a little. Predicting them to have 1, which is the loss to Notre Dame. A win over South Carolina to cap off the season sends them to 11-1. And we all have to wait to see what a playoff berth looks like for Los Tigres. So what do you guys check?
Just because you said it in Spanish doesn't mean it. Yeah.
That's fair. What do you guys check in? What are your thoughts? How do you like it? I am not going to lie. I think Lonzo is optimistic on the Gamecocks.
I was going to say about which team?
About the Gamecocks. I think the Clemson take is fine. I disagree on the L, but we do have the same record. I think you are way optimistic on South Carolina. Way optimistic. I like them. They're in the right direction. Everything's going great for Shano, but they're not there yet. They need another cycle, as Joey B pointed out when he said, my only concern if I'm a Gamecock fan would be with depth. The talent is there, but if they sustain a few injuries in the wrong places, the season could get away from them pretty quickly. And I think he's right. I think the biggest weakness for South Carolina is that depth.
But see, that's believing that the guys they have there can't step up if they have to.
Right.
And I
correct.
I don't believe that. These are big time college players at a big time college conference or a big time college team. They're going to be able to step up and they're going to be all right.
Listen. The next man up mentality.
Unless they were a Muschamp guy, then they're probably,
The next man up mentality is one you want your players to have. You want every player on the team to believe that they can just step up into the spot that the All-American fell out of and produce the same. But if you've ever watched more than, I don't know, one football game in your life, dude, the starter's the starter for a reason. If the backup was capable of doing what the starter could do, you would alternate them game by game so that everybody stays fresh.
So then why do players have breakout seasons then? Why do they shock people? Well, I didn't see that coming. If they get their chance and they take the opportunity and make the most of it. They were not starting. The starter goes down to injury. They come in, and all of a sudden they're on fire. They weren't as good as the starter. Why are they doing that? Some people do better under the spotlights. I mean, there are guys that are excellent at practicing.
But is that exception or rule? That's exception. That's why they're called breakouts. If it were the rule, there would be no such thing as a breakout season. That would just be what you expect. But that's the exception, not the rule. And especially,
is this the only job that's like that? I mean, so in any other job, any other profession, if someone calls in sick or someone has a problem and they can't be at work, isn't the next guy expected to do just as good as the guy that's not there?
How do I say no without sounding like a butthole? No, dude, if somebody else, if everybody, there's no thing where everybody has equal possibility or has equal potential. Nothing. Everybody is going to do something better or worse than somebody else.
But there's also the case of someone, the boss, or in this case, the coach, being more favorable of a player. Let's say, like at Clemson, where a certain quarterback was starting ahead of the other one who was probably more talented. Not talking about last year either. I'm talking about, let's go further back, when someone who's in Cleveland was there. There's so many factors that could come into that. It may have nothing to do with talent. It may have to do with preferential treatment. It absolutely can do that.
And you know what we call a coach who does that? A bad coach. A bad coach. If you're playing kid A because you like him and kid B's got better potential,
so what you're saying,
you're a bad coach.
So you're saying Dabo was a bad coach when he didn't start Deshaun Watson over who was it? Cole?
You don't have to go back that far, Lonzo. You can go back to last season,
yeah,
and say that Dabo. I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but does anybody think he didn't make a mistake by going to
DJ wasn't
faster?
DJ wasn't as bad as everyone said he was. He still won a ton of games. Cade came in and handed the ball off. Cole Stout, thank you, James. That's who it was.
Here's what I'll say. Yes. You don't know what a guy is going to do in the game until he does it in the game. But what you don't do is when you got to keep Spencer Rattler upright and clean, what I don't do is plug in the third string left tackle because, hey, we haven't seen him in a game. Maybe he does great.
But there again, I mean, unless you're watching practice or unless you're in the facility, you're looking at things on paper and going, yeah, they're less talented behind there. Why? Because they have less stars on it? I just don't think it's speculation, and I get that's what we're supposed to do, but I don't think you can look at a team and go, yeah, well, if those guys go down, boy, they're in trouble because everybody else, they suck. I don't know why they're on that team.
When Michael Jordan went down and he got replaced by Horace Grant, did the Bulls maintain what they could do? No, they got worse. Right?
Don't you be disparaging Grant.
Horace Grant. I don't know why Horace Grant came to my mind, but that's what I rolled with.
Yeah, if I recall, Horace Grant from around here, maybe, I believe so.
Joey B just said, yes, Cole Stout, and we all said he was a DA for not going to Deshaun from game one.
Well, so Dabo was a bad coach under that.
No, he's a good coach who made a real bad decision. Being good doesn't mean you can't screw it up.
So if it wasn't
Lonzo,
Dabo, if it wasn't, you're an excellent host.
And I screw up every day.
By the way, multi-time award-winning host.
Who screws up every day?
You're about to have 3 trophies, man. So no, it's if it was a lower level coach, I just don't think you want to say it because it's Dabo. Because, hey, did you hear Rob Brown? Hear what that's what you said earlier.
A good coach, of which Dabo Swinney's one.
Oh, he's a great coach. He absolutely is. He led his team to a couple of championships. And I mean, you can't be just a good coach and do that.
A good coach, a great coach, an excellent coach, a Hall of Fame coach, an all-timer can make a stupid decision. Right? As Samuel L. Jackson once said, I understand the council has made a decision, but as it's a stupid-ass decision, I elect to ignore it. And that is what this is. He made a bad decision. It doesn't mean he's a bad coach. Now, to circle back to where we started with all this, starters are starters because they're the best option. It does not mean there's not a backup who won't come in and outperform the starter. We get stories every year about a starter going down and a guy stepping up and outperforming the starter. But there's a reason we know those guys. It's because that's the exception, not the rule. And I will say, I think what Joey B's point here was not that if Spencer Rattler goes down, I got all the respect in the world for Luke Doty and Colton Gother.
But see, you know less about the backups at Ohio State or Alabama, but you wouldn't say, oh, if that guy goes down, they're in trouble because they're weak behind that guy. You would never say that about those teams because the next guy up on those teams is probably going to play in the NFL in a couple years.
Right. You know what we call that? Depth. You have depth to that team.
But you don't know any more about those guys than you know about the depth of South Carolina. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about a collective you because –
Oh, you can talk about me because I'm in that collective.
Because people – well, yeah, obviously it's weak, but you won't say it about the big teams.
Right. South Carolina's not one of the big teams yet.
They play
not
in
Ohio State. They're not Georgia.
They play in
They're
the
not Tennessee, they're
SEC,
not
which
Alabama.
means they probably recruited SEC talent would be what I would think.
It's a nice thought. They ain't Georgia. They ain't they ain't Clemson. They ain't Alabama. They ain't Ohio State. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm talking like they ain't.
I don't know, but the majority
none
of
of them.
I believe the majority of the people who go to that take know nothing about the majority of the bench on any of these teams. But because of a reputation of a team, you automatically assume, well, they've got good talent back there. Alabama's had bad players before. Ohio State's had bad players
So
before.
if you agree with that logic, then every year you should enter with there are no favorites for the national championship. There's none because we don't know anything other than the guys that are starting. That logic makes you say you can't pick a national championship favorite. I can. Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson. One of those four.
Yeah,
Michigan.
Yeah, Clemson's not in there anymore, according to
How do you know?
According to national, probably because the strength of their bench. You know, I look at that bench and I go, wow, one of their starters goes down, man, they're in trouble.
So
who's the backup quarterback at Clemson?
When Kyle McCord shows up for Ohio State, when Kyle McCord shows up, and you know, again, yes, you do have to rely on speculation.
Hey, because I don't know why Ohio State's ranked so high right now with us having no clue how good the quarterback is. Because he didn't start last year. How good could he be?
You look at, and again, I understand speculation. Speculation in and of itself, it's not bad. Blind speculation is. Speculation, if you're doing it the right way, has it's more hypothesis.
You
it
can
has
speculate
some level.
wrongly? I didn't.
Hell yeah, I speculate incorrectly all the time. Speculation
I like my word better.
should be based on empirical evidence, right? Now, doesn't mean you have to have a ton of it or great evidence. Speculation should be based on evidence. We can look at what Kyle McCord did coming out of high school. We can compare it to what other quarterbacks who did succeed did in high school, especially guys that came from that region, et cetera. And you can get a base background. For instance, a lot of speculation that DJ Uiagalelei, who followed a path very similar to very other successful quarterbacks, was going to step in and be the next great Clemson quarterback. And that speculation turned out to be wrong. But you had enough evidence to wager a hypothesis. Dabo Swinney did.
How many losses did DJ have?
Doesn't matter. He was not good enough.
Because you get blamed for the losses if you're the quarterback.
Was DJ in the realm of Bryant, Watson, Kelly? No. Lawrence? No.
How many other quarterbacks in the history of Clemson were?
Lonzo, if I asked you to start a team that you had to bet a paycheck on a win today, are you taking Trevor Lawrence or DJ Uiagalelei because they had a similar amount of losses? You're taking Trevor.
See, that's unfair.
You're taking Kelly Bryant?
That's
Deshaun Watson?
I'm taking Trevor over all of them because of the hair, and you know that.
The point here is you can look and get a pretty good feel. Doesn't mean you're going to be right, but you look and get a pretty good feel. And when I look at South Carolina,
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying the thoughts behind it. It doesn't make sense to me how you can just go, yeah, that bench is weak and that one is not. This is just about reputation. It's not about actually having knowledge of either, because unless you're on the team or being able to go to practices, there's no way you know for sure.
I'm going to lovingly, affectionately, and respectfully disagree. You can put a pretty good guess together.
What?
You might be wrong.
What?
But you can put a pretty good guess together.
What?
I can look at teams. I can look at composition. I can look at what guys were doing in high school. I can look at what some of them did in spot play last year when they were called upon. And if I asked you right now,
you could do that for South Carolina too.
Sure,
So
I'm talking about
and all of the recruits that have been praised on this show are presently on that team. So were they good or were they not good? Because if they were good and they're not starting yet, well, then either you were wrong in your speculation that they are good, or they're just waiting their turn.
If Lonzo hires a wonderful producer who has all the skills necessary to do the job well,
everybody in this building's better than me. I'm just here because I'm a golden boy.
half of that is true. If he has a wonderful producer, I don't expect that producer to show up and in his first year working at Odyssey, replace Lonzo. No, of course not. But if Lonzo goes, hey, this kid's a damn good producer. He knows how to work the board. He knows how to work the phones. He knows how to keep his eye on the clock. He knows how to straighten out the host if he makes a mistake. He knows how to make sure that everything's going smoothly. If Lonzo gives me that about a guy, he goes, this guy is going to fill in and be an excellent producer, my backup. You know what my base instinct is to go? That guy's probably pretty good.
All right. In truth, there ain't nobody but me. Ain't going to be anybody like me ever.
I don't disagree. I'm saying if Lonzo gives the Lonzo seal of approval, I instinctively and automatically go, I trust this guy, right? I trust this guy. If Lonzo's out on vacation and he goes, so-and-so is coming in to fill in for me, and it's good enough for Lonzo to sign off on, I can trust that producer to come in and do a good job.
Do you believe in Shane Beamer?
Yes.
So if Shane Beamer picked this guy who's on the bench right now, you got to believe that that's a good guy,
Shane
right?
Beamer's initial recruits are sophomores. His initial recruits are sophomores, right? His first good class, not okay class, good class comes in next year. He's got a few joined up this year. I'm not arguing, but his first good class with depth to it is next year. And that is why I have already said 2023 is not the make or break year for Shane Beamer. 2024 is. Next year is the year that I think we can, at the conclusion of 24, issue a referendum on if Shane Beamer's doing it or not.
Yeah!
Absolutely. All right, couple of texts that have come in so far before we run to a break. Texter said there's a reason the over-under algorithm is giving South Carolina a +/- wins. I agree. And I'm hammering the over, by the way. Already got changed down on South Carolina and over 6.5. All right. They're getting to 7. Question is, do they finish with 7, 8, 9, or 10? That's my only question.
So according to the algorithm, they took a step back.
Let me put it this way, Lonzo. Vegas don't get it wrong very often because they would go out of business if they
But
did.
if they didn't get it wrong on occasionally, no one would bet.
You're not wrong. Again, not
occasionally.
incorrect. But again, it's the exception, not the rule. Texture said Lonzo's U of SC prediction almost made me crash my car. Hilarious.
Well, first of all, I don't believe that for a second, because if you're hanging on my words on your ability to drive, you need to go back to driving school. And the second thing is this is all speculation. And I'm sure your prediction, Clemson fan, is that South Carolina wins 2 games. Way to go. That makes you happy tonight. Enjoy your inebriation later, because that's what you do.
Texas said Clemson undefeated is the ceiling and 3 losses is the floor. USC 7 wins is the ceiling, 5 wins is the floor. I'm going to jump that up a couple. I'm going to say 10 is the optimistic ceiling. 9 is the realistic ceiling. 8 is my expectation ceiling. I'm going to say 6 losses is the floor. 6 wins, 6 losses is the floor. Texas said, South Carolina fan here. I'm feeling a ceiling of 10 and 2 with losses at Georgia and Texas. I see the floor at 7 and 5. So the floor, according to most listeners, that's from Chuck. Chuck, appreciate the text. The floor for most for South Carolina seems to be 7. Most people think the floor is 7. I think the floor is 6, but it'd be a rough 6. Texas said, all right, Gamecock taters. My prediction for South Carolina, Rattler reverts back to Spencer Rattled, and every team gets vengeance. South Carolina will go 6-6 on the season.
Look at the numbers. It's all the same person, right? It's because
No, they're all different people.
Okay, because maybe he has burners. I don't know. It's funny though that you can tell who they're rooting for by how they text. Whereas I can be unbiased and pick Clemson to lose only one game, and that's at the end of the season. Because Clemson plays in a weaker conference, even as someone who pulls for the Gamecocks, I can look at that other team, even though they may be a rival, and go, yeah, they're pretty good because they've been pretty good every single year since they didn't fire Dabo, which they almost did. And I mean, those guys can't look at the other side. That's the difference between the fan bases. Clemson cannot say anything. Clemson fans can't say anything positive about or realistic about Gamecock football, whereas Gamecock fans can do that for Clemson.
My only takeaway here is I hope the ACC just whoops tail this year just for you. I really do. You would.
That's basically the ACC.
You would. Roger said Gamecocks don't need to win 11 games out of respect for their fans. Half of Gville will be walking around with one bare foot. James says, my prediction, both teams undefeated Thanksgiving weekend. Do you understand how incredible it would be for 2 11-0 South Carolina teams to get it on in Columbia?
It would, but
it'd be game day, game
but
of the week.
but there are
It's not going to happen.
But there are people on both sides of the fan bases that do not want that to happen. I've heard it said on the air over my 26 years here on the radio in this area. I'd rather see my team that team come in with 0 wins and then we whip that butt and then they never can speak clearly. It's I don't know, an impediment or something. I'm not quite sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got to run to a break.
Look, you lost your camera.
I know.
Again.
I did it again.
What are you doing?
The button that turns off my whole screen is next to the escape button and just above the number 1 button. I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yes, stop it.
I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yes, stop it.
I also want you to know, Lonzo, that my young impressionable nephew, who is 5, was driving here to see me last week when you dropped that soundbite 50 times in a segment. And for the entire week, every time I saw my nephew, even in public, he'd go, Uncle Rob, are you not going to play with it anymore? And he just thought it was the funniest thing because he couldn't figure out why me and my mother were both like, man.
The impressionable
Gosh,
youth.
dude.
Is this a show for children? I wasn't aware.
I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yes, stop it.
Back after this, maybe on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Are you kidding me? I didn't even touch it that time, dude. What is happening?
What is happening? It's weird. I guess you could unplug it and just plug it straight into your laptop and see if that fixes it.
It's the computer, not the camera. The camera just came back on.
Oh, okay.
For what I pushed the number 1 button in the thing shut off. I'm wondering if maybe like the gadgets and gizmos of plenty on the inside started shifting around.
He's back. You're back. I don't get your last comment, Roger. I don't know what you mean. If you're talking about the strength of bench, it's nobody knows. They speculate. Rob is getting frustrated with me. I should leave my cart wall alone for the rest of the show. As a famous man once said, I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Welcome to Ethos, a new kind of insurance company that believes life insurance should be hassle-free, affordable, and accessible for everyone.
For around $1 a day, I got a 20-year, $250,000 term life insurance policy without a medical exam. All I had to do was answer a few health questions and snap, family protected. It was quick and easy. Ethos is 100% online. I got a quote in seconds, applied in minutes, and got coverage in hours. Just answer a few health questions. No medical exam, no blood tests, no hassle. Look, nobody wants to plan for the unthinkable, but it would be so much worse to not plan at all. So don't put it off. It feels great having the peace of mind knowing that my family is protected.
Ethos, the 100% online hassle-free way to get affordable life insurance. Don't wait. Get your free online quote now at ethoslife.com. That's ethoslife.com.
The biggest corruption scandal in NYPD history.
Harlem
In the 90s, 30 cops crossing the line.
Was it a common practice to break into apartments?
He said that last thing knowing I'm going to feel bad about that. But, you know,
A new Odyssey original podcast. Listen to all 10 episodes of The Set right now, exclusively on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by Blindster.com. Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com, and I sell custom blinds designed for do-it-yourselfers. Unlike stock blinds offered at big box retailers, Blindster blinds are custom made for your windows and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big. At
so now I'm just going to retire. I mean, because, you know, I've corrupted the youth. It was never my intention when I got into this business.
We've got Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beard. Our ACC and SEC team preview series continuing, and there are exactly 3 teams who can win the World Series. We'll unmask them.
Number 1 for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the Fan.
Upstate.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. Lonzo. Texter said, please do the last 30 minutes as Clemson Boomhauer.
Nah, man, Rob just ruined the rest of my day because now I feel bad because, you know, I may retire the cart wall and I may just push buttons.
For the record.
That's what I'm going to do. I feel bad about it because I'm a corrupter of youth.
He doesn't understand why Uncle Rob and Gronda keep shushing him when he says it. He doesn't get it. I do. Also, Lonzo, you're not a role model. You know this. We're not role models. We're just athletes, man. We're just athletes.
I was hopefully a role model for 2 certain people. So, I mean, and that's, you know, that would be my children. I don't know.
I mean, I've heard Pappy on the radio.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
So,
yeah. Knew that was coming.
All right. Let's get a baseball segment in here, shall we? 25%. I feel like we're below quota this week, honestly. Lonzo, we don't let our personal feelings reflect what's happening on the radio. I like the one guy at the end who just goes, I can't believe this.
That's my guy. That's my dude right
That's
there.
Lonzo. That was a live recording.
It was.
So a couple of days ago, it was announced that Mike Trout is going to miss 6 to 8 weeks with a broken bone in his wrist. Underwent successful surgery. He's got a long rehab ahead of him. He's going to be out 2 to 3 months of the season. And I am going to say it could not have come at a worse time for the LA Angels. More importantly, it could not have come at a worse time for every other team except one in Major League Baseball. And I don't know what that one team is going to be. I got to guess. I think it's going to be the Dodgers, or I think it's going to be one of the 2 New York teams. Not that Mike Trout ends up there. I think it couldn't have come at a worse time because I think it almost guarantees that Shohei Ohtani will be leaving the LA Angels. Now, the question mark is, does he leave the Angels within the next 23 days as a part of a deal on trade deadline day? Or does he leave the Angels as a free agent at the end of the season. I'm a bit conflicted there because on one hand, Cody Decker pointed out on our nationally syndicated baseball gambling show, Bet for the Cycle, available on the BetQL network and fine Odyssey stations around the country, also available for free on the Odyssey app. Cody Decker said, look, they can't trade Shohei Ohtani right now because Shohei Ohtani is too valuable. He makes the Angels too much money because, let's be honest, if it wasn't for Shohei Ohtani, you wouldn't really have a reason to watch the LA Angels of Anaheim, despite the fact that they are in the nation's premier television market. The Angels are currently 45-44, a game over 500, but they are 6.5 out of that division. They are 3-7 in their last 10, despite repeated attempts at heroics by Shohei Ohtani. The Angels can't play 500 ball as of late. So the Angels couldn't get to 500 ball over the last 10 with Mike Trout. Now they don't have maybe the best pure hitter in baseball to bolster the lineup anymore, right? So I said, leading up to the trade deadline, the Angels, to me, were the team that needed to be buyers more than anybody else, right? Everybody wants to talk to during trade deadline time. Everybody wants to talk about the Dodgers. Everybody wants to talk about the Yankees. Everybody wants to talk about the Mets, the Astros, all these teams that are without a doubt World Series contenders being buyers. And I pointed out that in MLB right now, it doesn't look to me like there's a lot of teams that are going to be sellers. I think the Red Sox are sellers. I think the White Sox are sellers. I don't know about the Tigers. They're only 6 games out of the division. The Guardians only a game and a half out of the division. They're not sellers. The Royals are sellers, but they don't really have anything to sell. The A's are sellers, but they don't have anything to sell. They've sold everything already. The Mariners, I don't think they're sellers. I think they'd like to be buyers. They're 7 games back of the AL West. I don't think they're going to climb back in, but there's so much young, raw potential that you're wondering if they turn the corner. Over in the National League, I think the Nationals are sellers, but again, not a lot of things to be sold. The Mets are 17.5 games back of the Braves. They are a full 6.5 games back of third place, the Phillies, who are 11 games back of the Atlanta Braves. By the way, the Braves have put another 2.5 games up on the Marlins. They are now 8.5 games clear, first in the NL East. I think the Cardinals are sellers. I do not think the Pirates, Cubs, or Brewers out of the Central are sellers. And the Reds right now, 8-2 in their last 10. They're 49-39, 10 games over 500 with a 2-game lead in the Central. And out of the West, I think the Rockies are sellers, and that's it. So there's maybe a half dozen teams in MLB that are sellers in the trade deadline. But there's a lot of buyers, which means some players are about to get some fat premium contracts. I have said the Angels needed to be one of them. Why? I'm not worried about a playoff run. I mean, I am. They got to do it. But if they wanted any sort of chance to keep Shohei Ohtani, in my opinion, not just the best baseball player on planet Earth right now, but the best baseball player of all time. I believe that. If they want to keep Shohei Ohtani, their only way to do it is to win. To show Ohtani that this Angels team is not only willing to pay to win, but is going to win, right? That was the only way they're going to keep Ohtani in market. Nothing else, man. The $600 million contract, which is what Shohei Ohtani is going to get when he leaves, a $600 million contract was not going to do it because the Yankees will give him that. The Mets will give him that. The Dodgers will give him that. Hell, there's probably 2, 3, 4 really good teams out there that might give him that, right? So the $600 million is not what it's going to take. And I don't think you can go to 7 and just outbid everybody if you're the Angels. The only thing you can do is a $600 million contract and field a team that is a threat. Well, the Angels, if they were trade deadline buyers, which I said they should be, could have done that. They got decent talent on that team. They've got a lot of guys that are banged up that are all expected to come back after the All-Star break. They could have made a couple of big moves before the deadline, gotten healthy, and become a genuine threat. And then maybe with a $600 million contract, you keep Shohei Ohtani in the fold. But you just lost the best pure hitter in baseball. You just lost a guy who bolstered. How many, would they go 8 games where Ohtani and Trout have both hit home runs, homerunned, the verb. Where Ohtani and Trout have both homered a run in the same game. Best pure hitter in baseball, now out 6 to 8 weeks. Now, it's not his fault. It's not Mike Trout's fault. You can't control that. Baseball's weird. Injuries happen. But it could not have come at a worse time for the Angels.
Like blisters.
Shohei not pitching in the All-Star game. I can tell you, Lonzo is a frequent sufferer of blisters to the hands. You can't throw a baseball well with a blister on your hand.
No one could see you. Well,
Checking
some
my-
could see you. No, you did the guitar
That-
thing.
that one just
It
healed
looked
right
like
there.
looked like you did the guitar thing because that's where you would have gotten the blisters. And what is that?
Playing drums.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Well, without an explanation, knowing the direction that the audience will go to, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
save
that
you.
looked weird. You're right. I regret that. Shohei's out for pitching. He's still, from what I understand, still going to try to hit in the All-Star game as a DH. We'll see if he does or doesn't. This injury to Mike Trout could not have come at a worse time to the Angels because now a team that was 3-7 in their last 10 is going to have an even harder time winning in a decent division with the Rangers, the Astros, the Angels, and the Mariners. The Mariners are going to bounce back, I believe it, and the A's. I mean, hell, the A's are 5-5 in their last 10. They're bad, but they ain't that bad. Not as bad as we thought they were going to be. I mean, they are 25-64. Let's not go bananas. But in a division with the Rangers, the Astros, and the Mariners, without Mike Trout, the Angels are up against it. They're not going to be able to win. They're not going to be able to grab a wild card spot. As Joey B just pointed out, the Angels are 45-44. So are the Boston Red Sox. They're 45-43 right now. The Angels are not pacing the Red Sox without Mike Trout. That's a wild card spot gone. They're not going to be able to get in. And if they can't get in, Shohei's gone. It's bad for everybody else in baseball because the good news with Shohei Ohtani right now is he's on a team that's irrelevant. In 10 years with Mike Trout, the Angels have gone to the postseason one time. They got swept. They have not won a postseason game with Mike Trout. So, the best player on planet Earth, Shohei Ohtani, and the best hitter on planet Earth, Mike Trout, are, as of right now, irrelevant in the playoffs. If Shohei Ohtani becomes an LA Dodger, the Braves are in trouble. If Shohei Ohtani becomes a New York Yankee, the Rays are in trouble. If he ends up anywhere but LA, now Shohei becomes a postseason factor. Now every team in either the A or the NL are going to have to look and go, at some point, we're going to end up facing down Shohei Ohtani at least once in the postseason. And he is an individual series impactor. Just by showing up, Shohei Ohtani has an impact as a two-way player. So, you're in a spot here where Mike Trout has probably just screwed somebody in either the AL or the NL. Because Shohei Ohtani without Mike Trout is not going to make the playoffs. The only question here is, does he do it this year or next? Does he bounce this year or next year? If he bounces this year and he ends up in the American League, the Rays right now are 57-33. They are 6 games clear of the 51-win Orioles and the 51-win Rangers and the 45-win Twins as the biggest threats in their own division and division winners elsewhere. But let's say Shohei Ohtani leaves the Angels, and I do think they send him to the AL, but they are also going to send him wherever he rebuilds their entire farm system. If he ends up, let's say, theoretically, a New York Yankees, they are right now 48-40. They are level with Toronto. They are 4 games back of the Orioles. Can Shohei Ohtani make up 4 games for you in a division? Hell yes, he can. Absolutely, he can. Now, can he make up the full 8 games they're back behind Tampa by himself? I don't know. Close. Somewhere between 4 and 8 is the right answer. But he could absolutely screw the Orioles and bump them down a wild card spot, make their path to a World Series that much more difficult. He could absolutely end up screwing Boston, as Joey B pointed out. Like we said, they're in the best division in baseball in last place, but they have the same record as the AL Central leading Twins. They do. They're out of the third wild card spot. If Shohei's a Yankee, they're that much further away. Over in the National League, the most likely landing spot in the National League is the LA Dodgers. The Dodgers are a half game back of the Diamondbacks. Half game. Can Shohei make up a half game and catch LA up and move them past Arizona to take the West? Sure he can. He could be a San Francisco Giant. That gets him out of the AL. The Giants are 2.5 games back of the Diamondbacks. They are 2 games back of the Dodgers. Can Shohei make up that ground? You're damn right he can. Wherever he ends up, he is worth 4 to 8 games of difference just by being on your team. He's that good. By himself. So, this Trout thing is really bad news because I think it dramatically increases the odds that Shohei Ohtani is a trade deadline move as opposed to a free agency move. If Ohtani and Trout were both healthy and both good for the remainder of the season and the Angels could make 1 or 2 big buys going into the deadline, the Angels, who are, once again, out there in the AL West, 6.5 games back of the Rangers. They make a move for a starting pitcher, a relief pitcher, and a middle infielder. And this team can be competitive. They're 4.5 games back of the Astros right now. But without Mike Trout, they can't. And they won't. And the question is, what's more valuable to the Angels? The money that Shohei Ohtani brings in for them for half of the season, or the fact that at the trade deadline with at least 3 teams interested, maybe 4, maybe 5, the value that Shohei Ohtani brings if you trade him. What's more valuable? A half season worth of Shohei jerseys being sold, or effectively a fully stocked farm system that another team has built for you? I think we all know the answer. Shohei goes for 2 or 3 starters and half a farm league. That's more valuable over the next 6, 7, 8, 9 years for the Angels than a half of season of Shohei moving merch and putting eyes on the product. Without a doubt. Mike Trout's injury is going to have Shohei Ohtani out of LA at the trade deadline. And Mike Trout's injury is going to have somebody else, probably in the National League, become a big-time threat to the NL favorites, the Atlanta Braves. Back after this to finish up the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Look at what I sent you on Twitter. You don't have to watch it, but just look at the headline.
From TMZ, an eyewitness to the Britney Spears slap at the hands of Victor Wembanyama security tells TMZ he clearly struck her and she was furious, screaming, "This is bleeping America," in a British accent. I don't know what to make of that. The Dodgers are my guess of a landing spot, Joey B, and that's exactly why. The Dodgers have the payroll available. They've got a wonderful farm system they've been built. It's been helping them out every year. They give that plus, I don't know, what do the Angels need for next year? A middle infielder? They give that and a middle infielder for Shohei? Plus, it opens up how much money for the Angels next year.
Social media app Threads with this bold statement saying, quote, "I will retire from football if I'm not a 1,000-yard receiver." With that being said, I was on a pace for 1,400 yards last year. One significant injury in 11 years. I might be playing until I'm 37. the way I feel. In a recent interview with the Daily Delivery podcast, the Vikings running back Alexander Madison made it clear that this was a position he's always dreamt of being in, while also adding, quote, I have the opportunity to seize what's in front of me. Madison has averaged over 4 yards a carry and has scored 14 touchdowns in 4 seasons in Minnesota. In Denver, wideout Jerry Jeudy had strong praise for quarterback Russell Wilson on the Broncos website, calling him a soldier. Also saying that this season, the former All-Pro has a big
Wow, he's a soldier.
This has been NFL Network.
Kellen Winslow's son. I'm a soldier.
It's your last chance to shop July 4th savings at Lowe's. Right now, save on select major appliances. And when you buy more, you save more. Get up to an additional $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Plus, right now, when you buy a Craftsman V20 string trimmer or blower for just $99, you get a select Bear tool free. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offer stop through 7/12. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Buy more savings.
You a cannoli guy?
I don't believe I've had a cannoli before, but I might
really?
have. I'm not positive.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli. Cannolis are wonderful. They're delightful pastries.
They're dessert.
They are dessert.
I might have had one before, but maybe it wasn't significant enough for me to remember it.
There's a difference between a cannoli and a good cannoli.
Okay. Now I want baklava because I definitely know what that is.
Baklava is delicious. Cannolis are better.
Baklava with the crust being extra flaky. It just
Baklava
yes.
is really good. Cannolis are next level when they're done right. Just tired of reading how Otani and Trout, both Herman and Angels, lost every other day. Yeah, it's incredible how many times the Angels have like a historic thing happen because of Otani and Trout, and then they lose.
Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer. Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Deadpool 3 stills are starting to drop. I hope this isn't trending because I'm going to tell you anyway.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Don't.
Spoiler alert.
Don't. You're going to get us flagged.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are. You're showing an unauthorized picture.
Can't wait.
I thought you were going to get excited about Gambit being in it.
Oh, I am. Gambit is the best X-Men. My dog's name is Remy because of Gambit.
Right. You know who it is, right?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Where's my regular Boot Barn guy?
A Boot Barn. Oh, it's Channing Tatum. A Boot Barn. We got socks.
Need my Boot Barn guy.
Not just regular socks. We got cowboy socks. Socks that make you feel like a man.
Manly socks at the Boot
Socks you can
Barn.
wear to bed.
Socks you can wear to bed. I don't think I can handle wearing socks to bed.
All right, wrapping up the week. Yes, indeed. Wrapping up the week. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Alonso here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Look, last thing I'll say. Shohei's going to get a farm, and he deserves a farm. Joy B just said what I was going to come back and say. I should have said it in the last segment.
Wait, he's going to get a farm?
He will get the farm for the
Okay.
Angels.
Okay.
The farm system.
Oh, okay.
And it is because if you end up with Shohei Ohtani, you are getting a Cy Young winner and AL MVP. Shohei Ohtani could justifiably win every award in the American League. Silver Slugger, AL MVP, Cy Young,
You mean like what you're going to do
Golden
for
Glove.
sports at the South Carolina Broadcasters Association Star Awards?
No, he's better than that.
Okay.
He's better than that. He's going to get all of that, and it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. All I'm saying is, if you're a Braves fan, you better cross fingers, toes, and all available appendages that he stays in the American League.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
Time for the final Twitter trending topics
Threads
of the week.
trending topics.
No, it's not working.
It's not the same.
And now for your threads.
Yeah,
But it's not,
you
though.
got to
It's
change
not. No, we're not doing that. Not yet.
Not yet.
We're not required to. And although you could change it. I mean, because it's your show, your segment. If you want to make a threads, then I'll have to make a thread thing to see what's trending on thread or what's happening
We already
on
built
threads.
the sounder. We can't.
Yeah, we could. All right, the first thing that's trending is Ringo Starr.
Can I just say, I am tired of Ringo Starr slander. All right, I'm tired of it. Like, Ringo Starr gets hit for being a super simplistic drummer for the Beatles. Well, two things. Number one, that was the genre they played. Number two, he's not. Ringo Starr was incredible at filling spots that you don't even recognize he's playing a fill.
You showed that picture. That's what I think what happened.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Find out. Ringo Starr deserves less slander. I'm going to assume it's his birthday.
It is. He is 83 years old.
83.
The next thing is trending just because I don't really feel bad. It was already trending, but I was going to pretend like I felt bad. So I put this on trending on the thing, but it is trending. And I've heard about your great love for this person, and I don't know why she's trending, but Topanga is trending.
First off, what do you mean you don't understand the love?
No.
Topanga?
No, I said I've heard about your love.
Right.
I didn't say
you
it.
said I don't understand it, didn't you? Or
No,
did I just make that up in my head because I was getting ready to be mad at you?
I don't believe that I saw that, and people are saying they're getting the spinning wheel on YouTube. So
Topanga is
that's on you, man.
the
That's all
spinning
you.
wheel
I
of
told
death.
you. I told you not to do that.
I will find out. The spinning wheel of death. Topanga is trending for two videos that are going around on social media right now. Number one is Topanga giving dating advice, right? Danielle Fisher, by the way, her real name.
I know that you and Diesel are really big fans. I was older at that point, and it would have been creepy if I was.
You ready for my hot take of the day? This is going to be the hot take of the day.
Okay.
If I had a choice between Topanga and Kelly Kapowski, I'm going Topanga all day. All day, Topanga over Kelly Kapowski. Kelly Kapowski was shallow. She was materialistic. She was a good person, but she was vapid. Topanga had substance and personality and depth and intelligence and intellect. Topanga is the perfect woman. And the videos of Danielle Fisher going around are twofold. Number one, it's her giving dating advice, right? It's her giving dating advice about how if you wanted to flirt with Danielle Fisher would be the way to do it. And it's like, thanks for that. 20 years too late, Danielle. The second one is her in her closet, because it turns out Topanga's a sneakerhead. She's got like dozens of pairs of sneaks, and she's talking about her love of them and how they're made and which one she goes with what. She's a sneakerhead.
All right. The last thing in this trending is this. The stream can't hear it. Although it probably doesn't matter with that spinning thing up there. But
Yeah, I'm just